And now I think we're ready to go. Okay, so what I want to cover this morning, and do you mind if I pull this down? I am fully vaccinated. Thank you.
Can I pull mine down just a bit?
Yes.
I'm vaccinated.
Okay. So, yes, everybody has been fully vaccinated, just for the record. Anyway, what I want to cover, I want to make sure this week and next week, we're doing purchase, but today is all about listings. So what I want to make sure, let Katie in here. What I want to make sure is that your listing templates are ready to go. Because, you know, it's been kind of a crazy year. So I want to make sure, hi, Katie. I want to make sure that everybody's got their templates together, and we're going to go through actually the listing agreement. We're going to talk about just a couple things. And then after we get your templates together, the next section, part 2, is going to be all about your presentation. From the time you get that phone call to the time you are, you know, at the listing presentation and getting the listing. So I just want to have you, and we're going to kind of move a little quickly, but I want you to understand and have an overview. If you have any questions as we go, stop me and ask. Don't be shy, because that's why we're here. I want everybody to leave going, yes, I got it, and run out and get me 5 listings. Okay, so where I'm going to start here, let me start sharing my screen. Here, and I will share my screen. Okay, so, and everybody can see my screen at home, right? Just nod if you can. Katie. Hi,
No, I can't.
okay, thank you. Okay. Who's in the waiting room? Oh, Josie. Hi, Josie. Yeah. And here comes Derek. Okay, so where was I now? Okay, so where I want to show you, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you in SkySlope where to find a couple things that you'll need right at the beginning. And then we're going to jump to Zipforms. Hi, Derek.
Hello.
We're going to jump to Zipforms because we're going to create them in Zipforms. Now, recently, SkySlope has integrated with Zipforms, so everything can be done from SkySlope. That's another SkySlope class, and I don't want to try to bring everything in one day because your heads will go, oh. But what I want you, we're going to do everything in Zipforms because I also want to show you about DocuSign and DigiSign. Whereas if you do everything in SkySlope, then you would use DigiSign for your electronic signatures. Of course, I guess you could download them as PDFs and put them in through DocuSign, but now they're not going to automatically populate the signature lines, and that's a big deal. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a little bit. So what we're first going to do is go into SkySlope. I haven't opened it yet, have I? I don't think so. Let me go here. And I'm going to go into SkySlope. No, you don't have to go in. I'm just going to show you a couple things here first. You probably already know it, but I always want to double check in case. And let me log in. There we go.
I have the screen now.
What, hon?
I'm sharing your screen. I'm good.
Okay. She's sharing my screen? Okay. Good morning, George. Okay. Go here. And let me log it in. Here's a handout for you and a handout for Mr. Derek.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so in SkySlope, the very first thing you always want to do is get your checklist, right? So you can get your checklist in SkySlope, and but you're also, before we do anything, listings or purchases, we need to use our affiliated forms, right? We've got the affiliated business, the marketing service agreement, and the local area advisories. You can use either the local area advisories with Berkshire Hathaway, but I also know that both Cedar and Palm Springs have their own local area advisories. We just need one of them. We don't need, so if somebody sends you one from like Cedar, for example, that's fine. If you want to use the one from Cedar, that's fine. I think they copied ours anyway. So it's true. So I think we're all good to go, but I want to show you where to get them. So if you go to SkySlope and see right here, it says working documents. Let me try to move this again. I don't know. Well, I don't know how to move it. Okay, but we click on working documents. I just want to show you. And this is where you can find all kinds of cool things. And then right here, we're going to click on office documents. And you will notice, if you go down to Indian Wells, the MSA, that's our marketing service agreement. The AFBA is the affiliated business, okay? And now we're going to come back up here to company forms and click on forms. And I think I put this in the notes so you don't have to, in the outline. So if you click on forms, you'll notice, look at all these different forms. The water conserving, home inspection waiver, if your clients, are waiving their home inspection, storage agreement, sight unseen. Many buyers are buying these homes sight unseen. This is a nice addendum for that. But let's go to page 2. And right here, local area advisories. And that's where those 3 forms can be found. So you'll want to download them. I recommend you create a file folder somewhere on your computer or in your cloud that says listing presentation. And then you just save this stuff right there. So it's really easy in the future to go back and just get them whenever you need them. Okay, so that's always best. Have your listing presentation, have your purchase documents, file folders, and then save what you're going to need, because you're going to need these on every one of your transactions. Okay. All right. So another thing, at the beginning, I said we can do our forms now in either SkySlope or in Zipforms. And if you chose to do it in SkySlope, but again, we're not doing it in SkySlope today because that's another class. I'm going to click on apps. See right here at the top of your screen. If you click on apps and you go to forms, there it is. If I wanted to create a new transaction, I'd click here. If I wanted to create a template in SkySlope, I would click here. There is an excellent master's class that SkySlope has put out that gives you step-by-step directions on how to do this. It's in the help section, so you can find it. They've also emailed it out many times. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll send it to you. But it's a good idea to just watch it, but it's truly super simple. You'll click on create new file. Like if I was going to click on this, I started it for training purposes. I could just literally pull in my forms right here and it's coming straight from Zipforms. So whatever forms I wanted to add, I would just go in, here's the library. And just like in Zipforms, I would add my forms and then I can just type in it and save them. So that's how you do this in SkySlope. All right. Making sure I'm not forgetting anything. We got the affiliate disclosures. You want to download them. Okay, another thing. So let's say you get the phone call. The very first thing you're going to do is order the property profile. There's no way, I mean, really, I don't know how agents would do it without looking at that property profile, because what we're looking for is, number one, the legal owners, because believe it or not, we've had phone calls from people who were maybe living in a home but didn't actually own the home and wanted us to come list it because she was tired of being here. Turned out it was somebody's relative that had dementia that was staying in the home, and she's like, get me out of here, get me out of here, sell this place. And her poor family was in New York. It was just craziness. Anyway, so yeah, it's important that we know who the legal owners are. And then even, thank you. And even more important is we need to know how title is held. Is it held individually? Is it held in a trust? Because that's going to tell us what documents are going to be needed for the listing, right? If you see, and when you go through Landwood, and I love Landwood, and let me show you real quick. If you go right here to landwood.com and you just scroll down, right here. You just click right on property profile request, fill out the form. Our rep, as you know, is Melissa Duran, and you'll have it. I literally sometimes get it in 10 minutes, right? Sometimes if they're really busy, it takes a little bit longer, but they send it to you. You can even order, and I recommend this, if you're going on a listing presentation, order an email copy for you, for your file, and then order the seller's profile. Because what they'll do is give you a nice bound copy of the property profile. They'll give you a buyer-seller guide. They'll give you a checklist of what you need to think about when you're selling your home. It's a beautiful package. So you can put that in your listing presentation with everything else when you go to your listing presentation. So order both of them. But let's say the last deed, and it comes with all the deeds. So you're going through the deed, you're looking, and you look at the taxes, and maybe you see that there's a hero pace lien on the property, right? We all know that's something that's going to have to be addressed. And is it going to be paid off, or, you know, are we only looking for that cash buyer? So there's some things we have to really look at when we get this property profile. What year was it built? Do we need a lead-based paint disclosure, right? If it was pre-78, if it was pre-1960, there's whole other disclosures that need to come in. So these are the things that we're looking for when we get that property profile. Now, maybe you got a phone call from somebody who says, my spouse is deceased and we held it in trust and I want to list the house, right? No problem. All we need to do is get a copy of the certification of trust, because we need to know on that trust who is the spouses. If they held it as co-trustees, who is that spouse's successor trustee? Is it the living spouse, or is it maybe a daughter or a son or another family member? So those are the things we are looking for, and that is why you want to pull that property profile out as soon as possible. Okay. Okay, so that's how you get your property profile, and then it will be emailed to you. And then now we're going to go in here, if I can figure out how to do this. Move this. Okay. How do I move this? Okay, you're going to go right there for now. Wait, I need to move it. Oh, there we go. There. All right, now I can come back down here and go here to Zipforms. I know I have it open, right? Let's go right here. So we're going to log into Zipforms, and hopefully you've all logged in and you know how to get there. So I'm going to click on Zipforms here. And I'm going to click on continue. And this will take you to Zipforms. Now, here's what I want you to know about Zipforms. Zipforms is huge. It can be used for a lot of different things. It's a pretty comprehensive, powerful tool at your fingertips. I don't use it as that. I use it to go get my contracts and get them signed. That's the only thing I use my Zipforms for. I use SkySlope for everything, right? I use my VAC database for all my drips and everything that I need. So those are the two systems I live with every single day, is SkySlope and my VAC. Zipforms, I go in to do my contracts and get them signed, and then they go right into SkySlope, right? So you can do a ton of things in Zipforms, but I don't want you to let that be a distractor. If you choose, you want to learn how to do it, God bless you, go for it. There's plenty of training videos that you can go to. And if you go to this help, and I just want to show you, there's this learning center right here. And in the learning center, these are all less than 5-minute videos. How to turn off your pop-up blocker, basic navigation, establishing your profile, importing your contacts. So you can see there's all kinds of how-to videos if you really want to get the gist of this is what Zipforms can do. What you should do the first time is click on, this is really going to be your face. I've never uploaded my picture, but you certainly can. And you're going to click here on profile settings. And what I want you to just confirm is your about me information. Hang on. Yeah, there it goes. So your first tab is about me, and you want to make sure that your name, your cell phone number is there. This is our fax number, and not that we use faxes a lot. Rarely, I might maybe 3 to 4 times a year. But we still have that element of clients that they don't have email, they don't have a computer, they can only fax, right? So, hey, there's a stranger. How are you? Good, thanks. So, just so you know, that copier right there is our fax. If you need to send something out, you're going to fax it from there and just follow the prompts. When you give people this phone number, the 760-777-7571, it goes to a fax that I have called Ring Central, and it is emailed to me immediately. So as soon as I get an email that says you have received a fax, I'm going to open it, and assuming it's not junk mail, which I get on a daily basis, to buy insurance and all this good stuff, or if I have a relative in some other country needing billions of dollars, then I'm just going to delete it. But if it's an actual document on a transaction, I immediately forward it to you. So you never have to worry about faxes coming into the office and just sitting there, or maybe, which always happened, somebody would see the name on the top, grab the whole stack and give it to that agent, not realizing there were 3 other fax underneath it that should have gone to other agents. So it's eliminated that. So we do have a fax. That is the phone number right there. So once you've confirmed, and right here is your email signature. So if you're emailing out from Zipforms, you hit this drop down here, and you just want to make sure that you have an email signature so they're not getting something blank. Okay. So now you will save everything right up here at the top. And then you'll see this banner here. And then the next section we're going to look at is offices. And if you've recently come to Berkshire, or if you've transferred here from another office, you want to make sure that we have this correct information. So we've got the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services California Properties. You can abbreviate California to CA, and that's helpful in some of our paperwork because that's really a long name. Here's our address, 74990 Highway 111, zip, and there's your phone and fax. So you want to confirm that that's correct. And then you want to go over here to settings. One other spot I want you to check. And you'll see here is Digital Ink 1.0, Digital Ink 2.0, and DocuSign. Those are your choices. Now, I have a subscription that I pay every year to DocuSign, and I will continue to do that right now until I choose otherwise, but I love it because it's super easy for me. I have a DocuSign app. I can go into it anytime. I can see what the status of all my transactions are. It's just super, super easy. So I'm going to keep DocuSign. Digital Ink is free, and that comes with your CAR membership. So if you choose to, you can certainly use Digital Ink. And then the third electronic signature that we use is DigiSign from SkySlope. And so all 3 are fine. Be careful as you roam out to other e-signatures companies because they may not be as secure. And so we say yes to Digital Ink, DocuSign, and DigiSign because we know those to be nice and secure, but we can't say that for other companies. Oops. Thank you.
Can I
Yes.
What's the difference between 2.0 and 1.0?
I don't use Digital Ink, but I think AuthentiSign has an extra layer. Have any of you used, hi Mark, any of you used Digital Ink 2.0? I know I've had a few things come in. Have you used that one?
Yeah, but I don't, it just looks different to me. I don't.
It does look different. Do they charge you anything for an extra signature layer?
No.
Okay,
They're both free.
interesting. We'll have to look at that. We'll have to look at that and see what the differences are. Okay, so those are the three. If you're using digital ink, choose digital ink. If you're using DocuSign, choose DocuSign. Don't worry about it if you're only using DigiSign because you're going to be sending it out right from SkySlope. Okay. All right. So that's. Let me just close all this and go to our templates, and we'll get started on our listing stuff. Pull this out here. Okay. Come on. Wake up. There we go. Okay, so in your handout, I've given you a checklist. This is the standard California residential checklist. And this is everything that you're going to need on a listing. Do you need it all at once? No, you don't need it all at once. But what you will need, obviously, you've already ordered the property profile because that's the first thing you do. When you pull in a RLA, the residential listing agreement, you'll also get the agency disclosure. You're going to see this. You'll get the seller's advisory. You'll get the PRBS. You'll get the wire fraud. So all these things will come into play. So once you have those, then you can just look and see what else you need. Now, as far as the disclosures are concerned, when you put your file into SkySlope, just so you know, you're going to put everything that's required into the listing side. And once all your documents are uploaded, then you'll see a button that becomes available that says accepted contract, because now you're going to get a buyer and you're just going to click on that accepted contract. And now you'll have the buyer's side of the transaction pulled in right from there. While I'm on that subject, and I don't know if we've talked about this in the past, so I want to make sure we're talking from here forward. If you are working with an agent in our same office, we only need one file. So it's like we're double ending it anyway. So I want, instead of having to go in and check everything twice and do everything twice, it's easier on you and it's easier on our file auditors to just have the one file. So the listing agent will add the buyer agent as a co-agent. Don't panic, because again, we've got, we're double ending it. So everything is confidential. Nobody can share that information. So, but if it's two different Berkshire offices, then of course you have your file and that agent will have theirs. Okay. All right. So as far as the disclosures are concerned, normally I'll print out the disclosures. I'll have them ready to go. But I don't do it at the time of the listing presentation, and we're going to get on with that. I might drop them off the next day because it's a lot. It's a lot for your sellers to do everything all at once. Of course, in today's climate, you put a house on the market and 10 minutes later, you've got 10 offers. So you really need to get them done pretty quickly. I recommend you have the seller sign everything and then immediately upload just the seller signed disclosures into SkySlope, because now you have a buyer. You can go right from SkySlope and email them right to the buyer's agent. But if something happens and that buyer should fall out, you still have the original disclosure signed by the seller. You don't have to worry that it has the old buyer's name all over it, right? Because we can't wipe stuff out. So that's best practice, and now you always have everything safe and secure there. Okay, at the top here of your banner, you've got dashboard, forms, transactions, templates. What we're looking at today is templates, and templates are those documents that are pre-prepared for you, so that when you pull them into a transaction, you only have to add a couple things, such as the address and the price, and maybe, a term or two that might be different, but everything will automatically be filled out for you. So that's the goal. So we're going to create templates. So I'm going to click on template here. And these are from our past classes, but I'm going to do a new one here as of today. So to create new templates, we're going to click on this button here that says new. And since this is a listing, we're going to click on new listing. And the name is going to be listing template April 2021. This will be on a residential property. Now, we can have it automatically apply this to every new listing we do, or we could say, no, we don't want it to be automatic. We want it, we'll bring it in when we want to bring it in. So I'll keep it right now at do not automatically apply. And I'm just going to click on save. Are you all with me so far? Yeah, okay, good.
Mine kicked me off.
I got kicked off too, and now I can't figure out how to get
It
back
was
into
there,
that.
and then if you don't respond, you know, it just kind of froze. So
Oh.
you have to like log.
Go ahead and log back in.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah, right there. Minimize this for a second. There you go. All right, go back up, make it big again. Uh-huh. And you were in once, so it's not like the pop-up blocker, right?
Just one way.
Okay, do me a favor, hit refresh. That little round circle thing. Okay, now click on Zipforms. Okay, there you go. Now you'll go back in.
Quick question, if we have old ones, and new ones come up, do they change or do I have to go in there? and do it?
That's a really good question. So the question is, if I have old templates in there, can we change the old templates or do we have to go in and add new ones? Because there have not been in the listing contract, anything really changed, you can go into your older templates and just update it. But if there were revisions, I would say, no, we're gonna create it from the beginning so you pull in all the clean documents, okay? Okay. We good? All right, so let's keep moving now. I'm gonna hit save. And you'll see I am now in this transaction. There's nothing here, but it's my listing template. So, click here if you want to create a new listing transaction. I did.
No, you don't want to.
Oh, not a transaction. I'm sorry. Don't look at me.
Look away.
What did it say about my stuff expired?
Huh?
It's saying that all my realtor stuff expired.
Well, keep going forward like you've got to buy, it might show like you have to buy it again, but it does that once a year. So that just means that you haven't logged on in a couple months. So, and that's okay. Just keep moving forward.
Okay.
It'll get you there. Every year you have to renew your library. So after you pay your board dues in January, about a month or so later, you're gonna log into Zipforms and it's gonna say that. So once a year, just know, go in there, re-up it, and you're good to go. Okay,
Do I actually have to buy all of this?
no, you've already bought it for your dues.
Okay. And then just say exit order?
You're in, yeah, you're good. Okay, so go down to your templates, Miriam. And you're gonna create a template, and that's where we are.
Click here for adding a document.
I think
I
you
don't
might
have
be.
any template.
Good, you're exactly where we need to be.
Okay.
Okay, so let me open up my listing template here. So this is where I am, right? And this is where everybody should be. Okay, so I'm gonna click right here. See, it says all forms. This is where I'm gonna gather my forms. Right off to the side there.
Oh.
If Sandy, you have a look on your face like, where the heck am I?
Yeah.
Well, I click on creating a new one.
Let me see where you are. Yes, so you're gonna go have residential. Okay, residential. There, do not automatically, and then click on save. Oh yeah, you have to enter a name. And I just did, listing template, April 2021, so I know when I did it. And Marianne, I'm not sure where you are right now, dear.
Documents.
Don't worry, I
We're-
the
you- I
same
think you're
way
jumping
the
ahead.
other
Don't-
day.
don't
I was
jump
like, what
ahead.
the heck happened?
Okay. All right,
Back to list.
here we are. So we're gonna pull in our forms. So I'm gonna click on all forms. And here's your form library, okay? So in your form library, let's say you wanna find a form. You can search for the form by either typing listing, or if I know the acronym is RLA, I could type RLA, or I could just look and you see it's right here, right? But this is being chosen from all libraries. Just so you know, let's say, and of course, I don't know for how long we're gonna be needing to use the COVID forms. I'm hoping pretty soon we won't need them anymore. But if we need them, if we hit this drop-down menu under here all, we can go right to COVID sales. And now here's all the COVID coronavirus, the PEDS. Here's the posted rules for entry. If you get right now, you need to have this on the door saying disinfect your hands, wear a mask, all the CDC requirements. So here's all the COVID forms. I'm going to go back up to all, and I'm going to select residential listing agreement. Now, what you'll notice is once you've selected the form, it remains blue on this side. And that's a good thing because in the future, let's say you do an addendum, right? And then you have to go back and do another addendum. You'll know to pick addendum 2 because addendum 1 is in blue. So it always keeps you on track. You do one contingency removal, then you know this is contingency removal number 2 because it'll be in blue like that. So that's a good thing, makes it easy. All right, so let's see what we have here in the listing agreement before we start pulling in other forms. Because remember, in part of the listing agreement encompasses a lot of other forms. So I'm going to click on listing agreement. And of course, the first thing that comes up is agency. Now remember, we're doing the template, so we're not going to fill it out with anybody's name right now, because as soon as we've completed the templates, then I'm going to show you how to create the transaction and pull the templates in. And there is where you'll put in the name and address. Does that make sense? Okay, so right now we're just creating our templates. Remember, we're going to be representing a seller. So on agency, let's just check one seller box, but we don't know the seller name yet. That's just going to be our reminder to, hey, we got to put the seller's name in here when we have the name. But what you can do is put the Berkshire Hathaway information. So right here, you're going to type Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties.
I did my cover sheet and saved it and it all.
You can.
Okay.
You know, to me, I think it's redundant and working twice, and you don't really need it, but if it's helpful to you, and I like it, what Melissa was saying is she likes using the cover sheet. And you can certainly use a cover sheet if you want. You would just pull in and type in all this information that we're typing here into the cover sheet. And then when you pull out the form, it will automatically populate that information right into your forms. And it goes vice versa. Whatever you put in forms will automatically populate into the cover sheet. You can do it. You don't have to do it. It's entirely up to you. Whatever helps you get organized in your mind. Yes, ma'am.
I think I know.
Let's see where you are.
Because, when you said to go where all the forms were, it didn't have that there, so I just wanted to record my forms, I don't know what I
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back there. And hit no. Okay, and click on templates. And click here. Okay, and now, you know, if you hit control minus, okay. Then it's going to do it one more time. Because your screen was just really big. There it is. Okay, so now you'll take all forms and then put in the.
I can't get to that dashboard. This is what I thought. And when I click on the listing template.
Go back.
Okay. I'm gonna go back.
All right, so no, you need to click on new.
Right,
Click on new listing,
new listing.
name it listing template, April 2021. Okay, you'll choose residential. Scroll down. Scroll down. Scroll down.
Yeah.
If you hit arrow down, that'll help you too. Don't hit save until you. Hit cancel. We gotta, let's go back and try this. Hit new. New listing.
This is listing agreement?
This is the listing agreement, okay? Okay, click on residential, and then just click on save.
Hold up purchase agreement.
Okay, now we're gonna go to all forms, and we're gonna go to, give it a second, let it populate. All your forms will come up in just a second. Or click in here, I don't know why your forms aren't coming up. And type RLA. What the heck? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like, we're doing it good, I can't see your screen. There we go. Do you mind if I type this second? Why the heck is it not coming up? All right, let it sit there for a second and see if it's populating. Or do we have a?
They are both.
I think it's this,
I'm
one.
gonna-
I'm just waiting for Gina, I think it's your.
Yeah,
I think this one sounds familiar.
Okay, I'll just wait. Yeah, they're both the buyers, so it says everything in the trust.
It's not, this is weird.
Correct. Yes, yep.
Maybe she's
When
not
I
registered
was
because
in
she
the other
has
bank
some other.
transactions, and it had the R's there, and you click on that, and there were templates that we had done from before.
Yeah,
It wouldn't let me in.
Right, something's going on, you may have to.
She might not be, it was
There
R
it is.
registered if she hadn't
Possibly.
used it.
Well, she's registered, she's
Oh.
showing up here. I'm just trying to get up the template.
And I paid my dues.
Yeah. But the libraries, you might need to call them and say, your libraries, when you pull up your forms, none of the libraries are opening,
Okay.
and see. In the meantime, you can observe this being recorded, and we'll take you step by step, and then we'll follow up with that.
Well, I can make a meeting
Of course.
with you. I don't wanna
Okay.
hold up this thing, so, okay. I
Okay.
know what I have to do.
So our Berkshire's DRE number is 02043759.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I.
3759,
Let me get you.
and then you'll put
Okay.
your DRE license number and your name will go,
Wina?
huh, Guina? There we go. I think it's spelled right. Okay. So that your agency template is done. All you're gonna go in and do is add the seller's name when we have to. But it's Berkshire. Our number is 02043759, your license number and your name. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next. If you're not like up with me, if I'm going too fast, just kind of raise your hand and let me know so I stop and let you catch up. Because everybody's computer runs different speeds. And if you have an issue with your computer, I don't want you to fall behind. Yes, Derek?
Let me have the broker number again.
02043759.
Got it.
Okay? All right. So that's page 2 of the listing or the agency. Next document is fair housing, and there's nothing really to do on that document. Okay. PRBS, there's really nothing to do on that document. What I would like you to do after we have all this done is go back into your templates and read every page. Let me tell you why. I bet there's things in there that for new agents you need to know. For seasoned agents, you may have forgotten. Because as you do more and more transactions, especially with the purchase agreement, please read it periodically, maybe once a quarter if you need to, at least a couple times a year you want to go through it. Because we get in the habit, especially we prepare them, we send them out electronically, so we're not even explaining them to our client anymore, really. They're going through, they're reading it, they're signing it, giving it to you, you're presenting it. Now technically you should email the PDFs beforehand, say, when you get this, open it up and we'll go through it together. And you can explain what everything means and then say, now I'm going to send it to you electronically to sign. And you can do that. That's the best practice because they can never come back and say, I have no idea. My agent just sent it to me. I signed it and I have no idea what I even signed. So if you show that you've sent it ahead of time, that's good practice for you. Okay. But I want you to know what the contracts say. It's really important. The better you know your paperwork, the more confidence you'll have in explaining it to the client when they ask you a question. And I bet 99% of us, if we're not sure what something means, we're less likely to try to go do it. So we're less likely to go get a listing when we're afraid that they're going to ask us a question, right? But if we feel confident that, I know what the contracts say and I feel pretty confident about what to do, heck yeah, you're going to go do it every single day because you feel that knowledge. So it's really important. I think the best advice ever given to me in real estate was, Gina, read your contracts 10 times. 10 times. And I always joke, throw them on your nightstand. If you have insomnia, pull them out. One of two things is going to happen. You're either going to get really good at your contracts or you're going to go to sleep. Either way, it's a win, right? So just make sure that you understand what it says. And I'm going to be doing just a straight contracts class where we're going to take it paragraph by paragraph, probably in the next month or so. I really want you to understand the contracts. So we're not going to cover that today because that could be like a 4-hour ordeal. So we'll bring lunch and the potluck and we'll sit and read contracts. How fun is that? Okay. So this is the PRBS. There's really nothing to do on that. Your information, notice since you've already typed it 1, is automatically there. Going into the wire fraud, nothing to do there. And now we're going to start on the listing agreement. I'm going to try to make this a little bigger for my eyeballs. There we go. Okay, so on the listing agreement, we're not going to complete, remember this is the template, we're going to complete everything when we do the transaction. Right now we're just creating the template. So we don't know the seller's name yet, we have ours. We don't have a beginning or ending date. I do recommend when you do the transaction, you put in the beginning and ending date. Many times agents feel like, well, I don't know if they're going to list with me, so I don't want to fill it out. And then they list with them and they're so excited that they forget to add the dates. And then they come back to the office and I say, oh, you forgot your beginning date and ending date. We don't have a listing. It's not a valid listing. So now you have to go back to your sellers and say, can you sign here? So best practice is to have it filled out. If you've got a listing appointment today, put today's date as the beginning date. And the end date, I just make it 6 months. If they say, no, I don't want the listing to start till May 1, hey, no problem. Let's cross off April 29th, right in May 1, and just initial it off to the side. Problem solved. But now you're coming back with a valid agreement, okay? So you've got the beginning and ending date. Here's the property described as. This is where we'll ultimately put in the address, situated in whatever city. County, we're pretty safe to put Riverside County. Just know if you're selling in Orange County or San Bernardino County or any other county, you'll need to go in and change that. but most of our work will be Riverside County. Okay? The zip code, the parcel number, we'll get that from the property profile. We do not know if this is a mobile home yet, and we do not know that it's a probate yet, so those two boxes are remained unchecked. Price and terms, again, we don't have that information, so we're gonna go down to 3A. And at 3A, that's your compensation. So I want you, seller agrees to pay broker, make sure you check this box, because I have to say, the number one thing I see miss are these boxes checked. They'll put in the percentage, which we're gonna put as 6%, right? But they don't check the box, and really in a court of law, if the box isn't checked, it doesn't apply. So that could be dangerous for you. So make sure if you write something on a line, that box is checked. I'm always gonna start at 6% because that's our fee, that's our expected fee. I understand it's crazy out there right now, and I understand that there has to be some adjustments made at times. It should not be the norm though. And what I really want you all to get really great at is selling your value. Now, this market is insane, and there are a lot of adjustments going on right now because it's really difficult to say, well, look at how much I'm investing into the sale of your property when it takes 35 seconds to sell, right? So I understand, but what I want you to focus on is how can I sell my value? I absolutely believe that people will pay for value. That's why not everybody drives the same entry-level car, right? It's going to get you from point A to point B. Why do you need anything different, right? Because people say, well, I'll pay more if I can have this. And it's the same in anything. You know, whatever business you have, if you're giving a quality product, if you're giving quality service, people are willing to pay for that, right? People go to Nordstrom's because the service there is impeccable, right? And so that's what you have to think about is how can I sell it? And that's some coaching sessions. I'm happy to help you. We can do some role playing, however you want. But I really want you want to raise, right? You want your split to go up a little bit? Give yourself a raise. It's your business. Take that 6%. Many times, instead of going belly up, and I'm spending a few minutes on this because this is the number one thing that you're going to have to overcome on every single listing transaction. Commission is always brought up as the number one objection. So I want you to feel good about it. So many times people are just talking. And when you say, well, will you do it for 5%? We don't think about what that value is, right? What does that 5% equal? So if you've got a listing for, let's say, a $500,000 house, which is pretty much the norm in today's market, right? Got a $500,000 house at one side, 3% is $15,000, right? $500,000 house at 2.5% is what? Okay, I'll get my calculator. 500,000 times 2.5% is 12.5. Oh, you're good. Yeah. So basically, what they've asked you to do is give them a $2,500, $3,000 gift before you even taken the listing. Here, will you give me $2,500? Before you even taken the listing, and agents are going, sure, I'll discount it. Well, you just gave away $2,500. That's a mortgage payment, kids, right? So you've got to think about what you're doing. So sometimes people just want to feel like they're getting a deal. They want to feel like they're getting something. So say, you know what? I'm a full service agent. Why don't, and if I don't sell your house, I get nothing, right? So why don't, instead of me just discounting this, why don't I give you a gift to your closing costs at close of escrow? I'll give you $1,000 towards your closing costs. You just now saved yourself $1,500, right? Without blinking an eye, you just saved yourself some money. So look at the numbers before you jump in and say, yeah, I'll discount it to 5, I'll do it for 4. Oh, we don't want to save somebody money. We want to make them money. And there's a big difference. We're not a discount brokerage. We're not going to say, yeah, come to us. We're the Walmart of real estate. We're going to do a service. But here, I understand that, it's kind of crazy times. Why don't I give you a gift? I'll pay for your closing costs up to X dollars. Or, you know, I'd like to have something there, because what if something comes up on a repair request and for whatever reason you can't do it? If I have this padding, I'm in a better position to help, right? But if you give it away at the front, you have no bargaining power in the transaction. You have no problem solving. Like if we need, well, there's a lien on it that came up. Who's going to pay for this? Well, if you haven't given away the boat, you might say, well, if I pay the $1,000 for the lien, I'm going to have a closed sale. I mean, it's just something to think about, things that come up, and you still saved yourself some money. So think about actual numbers before you say, sure, I'll discount. Many times they're going to say, well, if you double end it, will you cut your commission? Personally, I'd like to double the commission because it's double the work, and it's stressful. Guys, double ending is not easy. It's stressful. And inevitably, one party is always, they feel that you're representing the other party more, which is absolutely not true. But you can see how they might feel that way sometimes. So communication is critical. But if you say, you know what, yes, I'll discount it if I double end it, then the verbiage has to be, and you can put it here under listing terms, if Gina Headland represents both buyer and seller, commission to be 5%. Oops. Oh, I just put emojis there. Okay. The reason you have to put your name is because it's you giving them that gift. If you say, if listing agent or listing broker represents both buyer and seller, now you just committed every Berkshire agent to 2.5, and all other brokers get 3. So don't do that, because you'll have some angry people on you. Okay? So verbiage, if you are going to do any changes in the listing agreement, if your name represents both buyer and seller, then commission to be whatever it is you've agreed to. Okay?
Is that where you would also put like the 1,000 that you're gonna?
Yes, yes. So if you wanted to give a closing cost contribution of $1,000, they say, yeah, no, you know what, that's fine. We'll take that. Super. Then in the listing agreement, Eileen will credit to seller $1,000 at close of escrow toward closing costs. And that's all you put through. So any agreement would go there. And there's another place I'll show you another additional terms where it can also be thrown, as long as it's in there somewhere. Okay. So 3A, 6%. 3A, paragraph 2 here, this is your protection paragraph. And I usually make that the term of the listing or 180 days, because I take 6-month listings. So this is the paragraph in a nutshell that basically says you've shown the property for 6 months. You've kept a list of names of all potential buyers that have walked through. Before the listing expires, or by the last day of the listing period, you must give that seller, and it says it right on there, the notice of prospective buyer. Right here, the prospective buyer. It's a zip form, and it gives a list of all the names that saw the property. You hand that to the seller. So if any of those buyers come back in that 180-day period and tell the seller, I want to buy your house now, you're still entitled to your commission because they were on that list. So that's a really important paragraph here. Okay, we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to paragraph D here. We're going to check this box next to the word either. And we're going to put 3% because this is where we're telling the seller we're taking a 6% commission. And from that 6%, we're going to give the buyer's agent 3%. I want to point one thing out to you. See how it says 6 and 3 right here?
Yep.
What I don't want, and this happens, and it's an honest mistake. In our minds, we're thinking 3 and 3. And I've seen agents put 3 at paragraph A and 3 at paragraph B. And what you've just done is you're going to pay us 3%. We're giving that whole amount to the buyer's agent.
Wow.
So that's why these templates are important. And that's why it's important they get uploaded into SkySlope within like 24 hours. So our auditors can go in and check for things like that. So if there's a boo-boo, we can say, ooh, this needs to be changed, okay? So, and then you go back and just explain to the seller, honest mistake, I was thinking 3 and 3, that you're paying me 3% out of the 6, and we're paying them 3 out of the 6, so.
3A is always the full commission.
Correct, always.
A quick question, go back where you typed out and stipulated if you represent both sides, where was that? Was that
Oh, I already erased it.
I saw it was was it 2B?
Yes, yes.
Could be.
Well, you could do it either in 2B or down here at paragraph 19,
Okay.
additional terms. There's a spot there where you can type a bunch of
Okay.
things too.
Susan?
Can I leave that? And to be, I said, if Mary Ann Lamb represents both buyer and seller, commission to be will be.
Commission to be whatever it is you agree
Yeah.
on. Yes, you can leave that in there,
Okay.
So
but I personally, just be careful that it's not printed on all your contracts. You're not doing it as a norm.
Okay.
You'll only want to do it if they're asking you to do it and you feel you have to get the listing. I try not to discount, guys. You work hard. And the more transactions you do, the more you're going to realize, oh my gosh, you earn every penny in this business. And it's not just about, putting a sign in the yard and writing a contract. It's all those things that you're doing from beginning to end, through negotiating, to hunting down agents, to hunting down signatures, to negotiating repairs, to problem solving. I mean, they pay for your knowledge and expertise. It's not just about physical work. So I don't discount it unless I absolutely have to. I don't want to do that because it's too much work. Okay. And I think it brings down the industry. All right. So let's go back. Oops, I lost my spot here. Here we go, back to the listing agreement. So 6, then 180 days, then 3%. Paragraph F, we're going to leave that blank. I'll explain that a little bit more in a little bit, but this is if it was listed by another broker previously. Again, if it was listed and it expired, or it was listed and it canceled, that other broker might have given the seller that notice of prospective buyer list. And if they have one, those names should be on here. We need to be aware of it. Now, let's say, I'm going to just give you something else to throw out, and I'm kind of incorporating some of my listing stuff here with this, but it's important because this is in the contract where you'll need to put it. Let's say they say, there's a guy down the street who's been really interested in my house. So if that guy buys it, and I've been talking to him about it, do I still have to pay you a commission? Right? You're going to get those questions. And the answer is, heck yeah. Are you kidding me? No, you won't say it like that. But here's how I approach that. I'll say, you know what? You have his phone number. Let's get him on the phone. I would like to give him, and Mr. Seller, again, probably not necessary in today's market, but I would still want to reach out and talk to him immediately because it's not going to be on the market long enough if it's priced right and it's, in one of those areas that's selling like crazy, like the world right now. But what I would say is, hey, why don't we reach out to this person? I'm going to put a time limit on it. He's got until May 1st to make a decision. If he wants to move forward with his house, let's get a minute. Let's have him look at it. He should decide by May 1st. If he comes back to you by May 1st, I'll cancel the agreement. You guys can do what you want, or I can represent both of you and handle the paperwork and, get you through escrow. And maybe you might negotiate the fee because you really haven't done anything at this point, right? So, otherwise, I'm not going to leave it indefinite. What if I have that listing? I've worked for 6 months. I'm doing open houses. I paid for advertising. I paid for photographs. I paid for marketing. I'm a couple $1,000s out of pocket on this listing. And now 6 months, he pulls his neighbor and says, oh, look, he wants to buy it now.
Right.
And we're out. That's not going to happen. So if somebody asks me that question, I give them a deadline. Here's the said date. They either buy it by this date. Of course, I'm not going to market it until he makes a decision. On May 1st, if he doesn't move forward, everything is coming out and I'll do marketing and advertising, but now it's exclusive and I'm representing you regardless of who buys this house. Okay. And so that's just how I handle that. Okay. Moving into page 2, items included and excluded. Well, we don't have the listing yet. We don't know about what they have leased or liened. but go to paragraph 5C, what is broker MLS? And we are a subscriber to GPS, multiple listing service. That stands for Greater Palm Springs. They see lots of different things on there like Flex or CDAR or whatever. The actual MLS is the GPS, Greater Palm Springs. Okay. Okay, nothing to do here. If you know, let's go back up here, the top of this page, paragraph D, where it says seller instructs broker. This is the SELN paragraph. Some agents, as of
Gina, can I interrupt? It's GPS and not CRMLS?
you are CRMLS.
I am.
You
Okay.
are, because you're in Oceanside.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for checking. Okay, so SELM, some agents as a rule do an SELM with every single listing, keeping it off the market for at least a week or so that they can get pictures, so they can get, the home staged or ready, to roll out to the public. If that's something you choose to do, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to check seller instructs to market the property and to start marketing the property at the beginning of this agreement, or you would check this box and put the date when you get the listing, or right here, seller instructs broker not to market the property to the public. The SELM that you do gives you a couple options. You can either say, do not market this property until blank date, where you could type in, for example, May 1st, or it says through the entire term of this agreement. So that means you never put it on the MLS. But just remember the clear cooperation rules. When you take a listing, you have 24 hours to put it on the MLS as live listing. If that's not a doable thing, you have two choices. You can create a coming soon listing, or you can create an SELM. A coming soon listing is, you can market it, but there's zero showings to anybody, not even your people. The seller can't even, if that neighbor comes over and says, can I take a peek at it? Seller cannot even let that neighbor in to see the property, or else now you've got 24 hours to get it onto the MLS. So, and they're pretty strict about that. So coming soon is 21 days and 21 days only. On day 20, you go into the MLS as soon as you get the listing, and you put it as a coming soon, not as an active listing, but as a coming soon. So the clock will start running. On day 22, it automatically rolls to active. You cannot get an extension on a coming soon. Okay, so it's 21 days, then automatically goes active. However, if you show the property or market the property anytime before, you better get it on the MLS within those 24 hours. Okay, that's their cooperation.
But that 21-day window, your marketing options.
You can market it anyway. You just cannot show it.
So you can, marketing is wide open.
Wide open.
Showing is not.
Exactly. No one can see it, but you can tell the world about it to generate an interest.
I misunderstood that. I thought you could just put it on the MLS and put your sign outside. I thought your marketing options were limited, but they're not
No, on a
limited.
coming soon, you can market the property. Okay.
So you
On
can put
a-
a sign out.
Yes, absolutely. You can put a sign, you can do whatever. You just cannot show it. Okay.
And it has to be marketed as coming soon.
And it has to be marketed as coming soon. And CDAR has a form. If you want to do that, come and see me. I'll give you the form from CDAR that your client will sign that explains what coming soon means. On another option is your SELM, that's your exclusion from the MLS for either a period of time or throughout the term of the agreement. The SELM, there's zero marketing. You cannot market it.
Yeah.
The only people who can see it are our Berkshire clients. So if it's your listing, of course, you can show the property to your potential clients. We can put it in our system that goes out to only our agents that say, hey, I've got this listing, but you cannot market it to the public, and you cannot, you've got to be really careful. It's only Berkshire. So those are the listings that we will, promote internally, and then we can show the property.
Excuse me, Gina,
Yes,
Helen, on the coming soon, the pictures that we put in the MLS, can they be seen?
well, coming
So-
soon, you're allowed to market, so yes.
Okay. So we can go ahead with the pictures. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
you're very welcome.
Apply to the VHS, agents, just, in-house.
Coming soon, there's no marketing to anybody, even to our own agents. And I thought, I don't know if you remember, I sent out that cheat sheet that has SELM and coming soon, the differences between these, and I can send that out to you guys again, so you have it. Or before we end here, I'll just get it and make some copies and hand it out to you guys, so you have that in your repertoire. But if you need time, just remember this, listings have to go on 24 hours, or you need an SELM. Now, if you have an SELM signed, it has to be signed by me and your client, and it needs to go to the board within 24 hours or there's a violation. So just remember, if it's not going on the MLS in that 24 hours, something else needs to be done. It's either going to go as a coming soon, or you're going to send the SELM, and the email address that you send it to is pretty easy. SELM@cdaronline.org. Okay. And that needs to go within 24 hours.
Do the pictures have to be put in 24 hours?
At least one. At least
So if you
one.
do the front of the house.
So yes, you can do the front of the house, put it in coming soon. You can even put a note on there, picture, easy for me to say. Professional photos, are being taken and will be updated in a few days. Check back.
So that would go into coming soon, not to.
SELM, you don't put it on the MLS, so it doesn't matter. There are no pictures.
Yeah, but you have to put the listing in.
No.
I mean, the listing in within 24 hours.
Not with an SELM. If you're doing an
Let's say you're doing nothing. You're not doing the coming soon.
Oh, if you're not doing either SELM or a coming soon, then yes, you have to have it in within 24 hours. And you have to have at least one picture per CDAR rules.
Okay.
We want at least 10 pictures on there.
I know.
Yeah.
But then you can add the other pictures at a later time.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. But a lot of agents, they want to roll it out with a
With
wow,
the big
right?
wow.
With everything.
Okay.
Because sometimes, when the listing goes live on the MLS, remember, if people are signed up for those, listing alerts, like with ours, we send our listing alerts to the clients. As soon as it goes onto the MLS, it's getting emailed to that client. So if there's only one picture, it's really hard for them. And when you add pictures, they don't get another listing alert. So that's why most agents want it ready to go at once.
So the preference would be coming soon.
I personally think the preference is the SELM, because and the reason is, and let me get that form real quick. Okay, so here's our 3 statuses. It's a little cheat sheet and I love it. Okay, I'm sure you've all have seen it, right? So the coming soon, the reason I would personally, this is whatever you guys want to do. This is whatever. There's not a set rule. But for me, with coming soon, nobody can show it. Nobody can show it. Marketing is allowed. It's going into the MLS as a coming soon listing. You can state what the commission is offered to the other agent. Days in the MLS do not start to calculate until day 22. Okay, then that's day 1. That's why it's DIM, days in MLS, versus DOM, days on market. And it doesn't go active on the MLS till day 22. So it's really been active on the MLS for 1 day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's no showings and it's 21 days only. So if there's a hiccup and that photographer calls down and says, I have to go out of town, I have to reschedule this, and you can't get it in that 21-day period, now you're in trouble, because it has to go live on day 22. I want to be able to show it, because I'm excited. When I get a new listing, I want to sell it. I'm excited, I want to show it. So I would probably do an SELM. I would tell every one of my Berkshire compadres saying, I've got this new listing. If you have somebody, bring them to me. And I would want to take it and show it and sell it before it even really hit the market, because I think that would be awesome. But with an SELM, remember, no marketing, It doesn't go into the MLS. There's no distribution anywhere except to your own broker, and showings only to listing broker clients. So, and then of course, active, anything goes. You just put it on within that 24-hour period. Okay, so, and I'll make copies of these for everyone. Okay. Let's go scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Nothing else to put here. Not a short sale, not an REO. If it was held in a trust, you'll check that box for a trust advisory. If it's held as an individual or husband and wife as joint tenants or anything other than a trust, you don't have to check anything. Okay. This box right here is a conversation you should have with your client saying, where are you going when this house sells? Because if they don't know, you may want to suggest they make it contingent on finding replacement property. Otherwise, they're going to sell this home and they're going to be stressed out and try to cancel because they have no idea where they're moving, right? But if you make it contingent on them finding replacement property, then they have a period of time. Once they get an offer and they know what they're dealing with, now they can run and look and find another house. So it gives them another option. That's the safest for you right now. Okay, and then we're going to move down.
Does that require another form?
Yes, it's an SPRP, but you only need that at the time of the purchase because you're going to counter with that, and you're going to also put it in the MLS under agent remarks. You know, this is contingent upon seller finding replacement property. Not a negative. It's not a negative. It's the market right now because inventory has been so low. So we just want to make sure. Many times it's not an issue. It's a second home. They don't care. They're just selling the home, right? Or they've already found a place or they're moving wherever. They're going to assisted living. Then it's not an issue. But if it is an issue, we need to make sure we're protecting our clients. Okay. Moving right along here, nothing else to fill out there. Again, if it's being signed in a trust, or maybe they own it as a corporation or a limited partnership, you're going to check the box then because they'll be signing in a representative capacity. In this particular case, we're just going to pretend they own it individually, so I'm not going to bring in all these other forms, but just keep that in the back of your head. If they're signing in any other capacity other than an individual, you'll need a representative capacity form. And that basically says the signer is Derek Biesmeyer, president, and he's the president of the Biesmeyer Foundation, right? Then on all the forms, it's going to show Derek Biesmeyer, president, as the signer on every form. And so that's all. Okay, scrolling down here. Okay, go get him, killer. Yes, that's one of the reasons I'm recording it, and I'll also upload it to YouTube so you can go back and look at it whenever you want. Okay, so here we've got our information already filled out. If you will be teaming up with another agent and you're not a formal team, right? And even if you are a formal team, actually, if you're working with another agent, put that other agent's name right here. Now, this says here 2 brokers with different companies. We normally do not do that. In fact, 99 and 9/10% of the time, we will not do that. On very rare circumstances, it may be necessary, and that's on a come talk to Gina basis, and then we'll talk to our attorney about it. But literally, if you're co-listing, and I see this periodically, and sometimes this is asked, if another broker wants to co-list, you take on all that liability of another company. And you don't know that other company. You don't know what they're, so you don't want to do that because your license is now on the line with this person. You're not really even sure who this person is. And even if you do, you really don't know what kind of training, what's going on, their supervision. If you sat in my chair, you'd see some very appalling things in this business. So you want to make sure who you're working with and what you're doing. But normally we don't do 2 brokerages. We don't co-list. If that ever comes up, come talk to me. Okay. Seller's advisory, there's nothing to do. And the consumer protection, nothing to do. So we're going to hit this save button right over here. There we go. And then we're gonna click on back.
Where's the same?
At the very top on the left.
And the address and stuff isn't so important with regards to brokerage.
It is.
Oh, I
So we have
see.
to go through and fill that in too.
Yeah, you should have filled it in, where are you talking about?
Like, right, so I don't have this down here on any of them. I guess you should go to the top and do it, or
Oh, yeah, no, you should put it right there. I'm surprised it didn't. Did mine come?
populate?
Yeah,
Yeah,
did we have it there? Let me look there.
no,
Oh, yeah, what George is asking for, you'll want to add the address, or right here. Let's go ahead and put it in there since it's your templates. 74990 Highway 111.
Oh.
Indian Wells, California, 92210. On the signature page of the listing, page 2 of 3 of the RLA. Thanks for pointing that out, George.
sure. And what was it, zip on 92?
92210 is our zip.
Okay.
And now we'll hit save again. And then we'll hit the backspace.
Is that the first page of the residential listing agreement? Where you
It's
put
on
the
page
address?
2 of 3 of the RLA. I'm sorry, 2 of 2. No, that was on seller's advisory. I'm sorry. Let me go back up here.
Where are you?
That was on 5.
It's on 2 different places. One is page 5 of 5 of the RLA. I beg your pardon. I
Yeah.
just spoke the other.
Okay.
All right. 5 of 5 of the listing, and then page 2 of 2 of the seller's advisory. But when you type it in one, it's going to automatically populate it in the others.
So hit save and then.
So we save it and then we hit the backspace because we're there. Now I'm going to look at the checklist. We've got the listing agreement. We've got agency disclosure. We've got the PRBS. And now it looks like we just need our affiliated documents, right? So if you look here, this is our template. The only thing it's going to show right now is the listing agreement. We're going to go in and we're going to take the affiliated business, marketing service agreement, and the local area advisories, and we're going to add them to this template. So they will always be here whenever you're doing a listing. You don't have to hunt for them. And to do that, we're going to click on Add Document. Yes, ma'am.
Did you hit the back button?
Our address. You're welcome.
I think I did this, but I didn't do it as a template, because it's asking me if I wanted to say that as a new create new transaction or create existing transaction. That's okay, I got the gist of it, I can go back and do it.
And the cool thing though too,
Yeah.
if you have it as a template
Yeah.
or as a transaction,
Transaction.
you can just copy
Copy
it to
it.
another transaction
Okay.
and treat it like a template.
Right, so it's
So-
like- but I can just go back and create a template,
Of
I just
course.
didn't start in templates is what I did.
Got it.
Gina,
Okay.
what's the Berkshire Hathaway license number?
02043759. Okay. So did I download these? Let me go into here real quick. I did download the 3, didn't I? I think I did. Let me go to downloads. No, I didn't. Let's go do that right now. Which one am I in? It'd be helpful if I can see. Here it is. Listings. Go back to here, and I'm going to take local area advisories. I'm going to put it in my downloads file folder so I can upload it from there.
So how new are these? When were they last updated? I'm just wondering if mine are still good.
If it has Old Republic and American Home Shield on the MSA, that's the most recent one.
Okay.
And the local area. Wait, did I- Second download. I'm gonna say local area advisory, so now I need the affiliated business. Okay, now let's go back into my Zipforms. So I'm gonna add the documents. I just put those 3 documents in my downloads file. Wherever you save them on your computer, that's where you're gonna go get them. So I went to SkySlope. Yeah, in fact, what we can do, I mean, you can either go to SkySlope now and then download them into your file folder, or if you'd like, I can email them out to you. And then you can just upload them right into your Zipforms, whichever you would like to do.
That'd be great.
You want me to do that?
Yeah.
That's a good reminder too.
Yeah, upload these into your Zipforms. So what you're gonna do though, when I email them to you, you're gonna save them on your computer under your listing presentation file folder. And then when you go to browse for document here, it's gonna give you this pop-up menu. You're gonna go to your listing presentation file folder. You're gonna select those 3 files and you're gonna click on open. And now, okay. And so you'll see there's the listing documents and our 3 affiliated documents. So our listing template here is done. It's ready to go. So I'm going to hit, where am I? I'm going to go back to my list because I'm good to go. My listings are ready, and now I'm just waiting for my phone to ring. And my phone rings, and I'm all excited. So now I'm going to get ready for my presentation, right? And so I get the property profile, and I get everybody's name, and I get the details that I need. Let me go to my dashboard here because I'm just now logging back into Zipforms now. And I've got to create a new transaction, right? Now you'll have your choice. You can do this either through SkySlope again, or you can do it through Zipforms. Today I'm just showing you through Zipforms. Another day I'll show you through SkySlope. But we're going to click on the banner here and check transactions. Hopefully we won't be working at 2 a.m. Okay, close that. All right, so I'm preparing my docs now. I'm going to click on new because it's a new transaction, the new call we just got. We're then going to click on new listing. Now you're going to use your client's name, right? Oops. He calls me all the time. I tell him to stop. But all right. So I put my client's name. I put his address. This is a residential property. It's an active listing. And now I go here to select template. And I'm going to hit the drop down. My templates. And I'm going to choose, here it is, April 2021, my listing template.
Now, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
What if it's a condominium or a co-op?
Then you just choose.
And are there different forms automatically add to it, or?
Potentially, it's just telling you what kind of transaction
Okay,
it is.
so it'll just,
So,
you don't have to.
I don't worry about that too much. Not at this point. Okay, and we're going to click save. And there's my transaction. So I'm going to go right into, you'll see here's my client's name and the address. I'm going to go over here to, oops, my documents. Documents. And you'll see here's everything that we did in our template. So it pulled it in. And so now all we have to do is go to our listing. Now we know the seller's name. So we're just going to go in and we're going to be able to type in our client's name. Nah. Right? I don't mind it. He's such a cutie pie. Okay. So now you'll see your client's name is going to be on all the documents. And literally, you're going to come over here. The property address is 1234 Main Street, Indian Wells, California, 92210. Date prepared is going to be today. We're going to throw in, remember, the beginning and ending date. So we begin today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is October. Let's go to the end of the month. Okay. We'll get the APN number from the property profile. Whatever it might be. Purchase price, we're going to put in the purchase price. Okay. And then everything else is done. So literally, when you get that phone call, you're putting in the address, you're putting in the beginning and ending dates, you're putting in the purchase price. Voila, all your paperwork is done. You hit save. And now you're ready to send things out for signature. Okay, and so that's it. That's your listing templates, and you can use these for everything. Do you have any questions? Not yet? Do you want to take a quick stretch 5 minutes before we go into the presentation portion? Yes. Okay. Let's do that. So I'm going to exit out of here now.
So the first step, that's where I got lost in this real quickly. So did you start on templates or did you start on forms?
I started on templates.
That's why it's screwed.
Yeah, because we're creating a template.
All right.
What do you usually put in that document you just had up there, the MSA?
At the
Where
top,
it says two.
I usually
I've
use the
seen
address.
all kinds.
I know. There's never been really direction. I usually just put the address.
Okay.
Because if you put somebody's name,
Yeah.
everybody's signing it. So it's not just going to that one person, it's going to all parties. So I put the address, I put the date.
People put all parties.
Okay.
So
That's
I
not
just wondered
wrong.
what you wanted.
Yeah, that's not wrong.
Okay.
It's just, as long as everybody signs it and understands it. Okay, we're just taking a quick, I'm gonna pause the recording for a minute. Okay, we are back live. And let me share my screen. And now we're gonna just go here with the seller experience. Okay. So we all know listings are everything. I mean, that's where your money is going to be made. And I know many agents want to just be buyer agents. Oh my God, in this market, I'd want to light myself on fire. It's not an easy market to be. It's just not an easy market to be in. You're working really hard. You might be showing multiple buyers around, making a ton of offers, not having anything accepted. It's, not a bad thing. It's just know that's your efforts are going into that. On the flip side, you've got the listings. You take as many listings as you can possibly get, and now you're in the role of negotiator as opposed to a driver, right? And so it's a nicer position to be in. It's where the money is made. If you're working with a buyer, you're not sure you're going to get paid, right? They might not get an offer accepted. If you're working with listings, when they sell, you know you're going to get paid. So there's, you know, the most successful agents, that's what they focus on, is getting those listings. So listings allow you to make more dollars per hour. Many of the top agents that were interviewed for the Millionaire Real Estate Agents have between 15 and 25 listings a month. A month. Whereas the best buyer agents were hard pressed to work with more than 6 to 8 buyers a month, year after year. Not that that's bad. We love helping our buyers. We love helping our sellers, but you have to look, this is a business, right? You're in a business to make money, to do the right thing, but you're also, if this is a business and you have to think like a business owner. So I would recommend you know, maybe 80% listings, 20% buyers. It may be, you might be getting so busy with listings that you may need to pull in a buyer's agent. Maybe somebody who's hungry and says, look, I'll do anything. I just need to make some money here, right? You can pull them in and say, hey, I am getting too many phone calls every single day. That's not a bad position to be in. That's where, you know, we sit down and say, okay, how can we give you more time, so to speak? Where can you delegate? You know, maybe it starts with hiring a TC, so you're not dealing with your file, you're just going out doing your job. Maybe it's pulling in somebody to help you with your social media advertising. But you know, you're gonna look at your business as a business. But just remember one thing: signs beget signs. And your phone starts ringing when there's a sign in somebody's yard. It just happens that way. So that's what our focus should be. Of course, we can have multiple listings. It's an opportunity to double your income. You can potentially represent both the buyer and sellers. A lot of agents do not want to do that because, again, like I said earlier, that's not an easy position to be in. You have to be fair, you have to do the right thing for both parties, and you have to communicate everything to both parties. I mean, that's a good thing. It's just sometimes not an easy thing to do. Remember, for credibility and visibility, there's nothing more powerful than the sign in the yard. That's just a huge thing. You get more leads and more leads. So where does your business come from when you're reaching out? You're going to be marketing. You're going to market and advertise as you would if you owned a restaurant or if you owned a store. You want to make sure you're setting your business up. And so if you were to buy a franchise into a retail store, you'd get into the building. What would you need to do? You'd need to buy some clothes to get into the building, right? Well, in real estate, you need to buy some marketing materials so you're ready to do business. The good news is, whether you're coming in at a very, very slim budget or a huge budget, Mark Stark has it set up where you can pretty much do anything for, oh my gosh, $20, and you'll have your whole farm and email addresses. And then once you get everything uploaded right into the VAC, now you're going to assign those neighborhood reports and market reports and your drip system campaigns. So for a one-time investment of, you know, $20, now you have a lifetime of marketing, really, that can go out on a weekly basis, and you're top of mind. How many of us got to watch Market Watch yesterday? Lisa did, and Leighton did, and Derek, yeah. If you heard Market Watch, and if you'd missed it, I recommend you going to Palm Springs. I think it's Palm Springs Live/Market Watch, and check out their old YouTube videos. I did save a couple slides. Because of COVID, there were many sellers that said, well, I want to sell my house. I just don't want to sell it right now through the whole COVID thing. I don't want people tromping through my house. I'm high risk, whatever the story is. So these sellers that were going to list their home step back, right? But they're still sellers. And then you have the normal lists every year. And on average, what we learned is on average, the Coachella Valley has approximately 15,000 listings every year that go on the market. And that's been steady for the last 5 years. With COVID, it dropped down to about 13,000 homes. So that tells us that 2,000 people that normally would have listed their home were in that category of, I don't want to do it during COVID. So as we get out of the pandemic and as we are moving forward, the listings you're going to see, and you can already see it on the charts that they showed, we're going to be getting more and more listings. As more people get vaccinated, as it's okay to now go outside maybe without our masks, more and more people are going to say, yeah, okay, I'm ready to list my house now. So the normal market is going to be coming back. And those 2,000 people that wanted to sell in 2020 that still haven't are going to be added to that inventory. So we're going to have a surplus of homes coming onto the market in the fall, because the fall is when normally most people will be listing their homes. Because again, we're in the desert. There are that group of people who say, I don't want to list my home in 120-degree weather. Although some of my biggest sales were in July. Some of the biggest checks I ever cashed were in August, right? It's exciting. So I don't ever want any of our agents to think that way, because the truth of the matter is, you be out there when the other agents aren't, because that's business you're just going to be grabbing. I love that. So anyway, back to the marketing and advertising. It's so important, because this is not just a crystal ball prediction. This is based on facts and numbers and stats and analyses from years, right? So based on what we know, there's going to be an influx of listings. Are you top of mind? If the answer is no, then you need to become top of mind pretty quickly in the next couple months, right? Because if you are, now you're in a position to take advantage of some of that market share. You want that market share. It's really now. I can't even tell you, now is the most critical time to get out there and fish or farm for listings. So number one is your sphere of influence. Make sure your sphere of influence is in your CRM. I'm going to say it one more time. I know I've said it 1,000 times. We are not in the business to take your names or your contacts. That's not what we do. We're in the business of helping you make money. And to do that, Mark Stark has provided this unbelievable, extraordinary system for free for you, right? So that you can go and make money. Because if you're making money, guess what? We make money. So, and you can export your contacts at any time. So I want you to just feel secure and say, no, we don't want, what we want is for you to make money. That's our number one goal. So I would make sure that everybody's in your CRM, your sphere of influence on assigned drip systems. I would start reaching out. If you have not called anybody in a while, now is an excellent time to say, hey, I'm just checking on you. How are you hanging in there with COVID, right? How are you feeling? Did you get your shot? Whatever you want, just talk. And then, by the way, real estate has been absolutely crazy. I hope if you hear of someone that, has a question about real estate, you feel comfortable introducing them to me. And I use those words specifically because people get worried about referring people. They don't want to refer because now their name is on that, right? But they're comfortable introducing people to you because now I'll introduce you, but it's on you. You win them over. So I always ask for introductions. If you hear of anybody, I hope you feel comfortable introducing them to me. And normally they're going to say, well, sure, no problem. Now you put it in their head. They're going to hear somebody and they're going to go, oh, you've got to call my friend Mary Ann. I was just talking to her and she told me 1, 2, 3. I get these neighborhood reports from her. I get, you should reach out and call her, right? So that's why you're reaching out to your sphere. They like you already. They're your biggest fans. Let's put them on board with helping get you some more referrals. So, and then I hear, well, I don't have a big sphere. I don't know anybody here in the desert. Okay, well, let's meet some people. You are in a relationship business. You are in a business where it's all about people. So we need to figure out, where can I meet them? And a lot of times agents, I can't tell you, a lion's share of our agents golf to meet people, right? They're out there on the golf course. They're out there on the tennis courts. They're doing something to meet people, but they know they're not going to meet them sitting at home watching TV. They're not going to come knocking on your door saying, are you a realtor? So, although that did happen to one of my agents once. And it was only because she had her car magnets on her car. and it was parked in the driveway, and somebody was driving around and wanted to, I guess, buy a house or list a house, can't remember, in that neighborhood, so they knocked on her door and said, "Are you a realtor?" So she was pretty like, she was excited when she came and said, "Gee, guess what? Someone knocked on my door." That was awesome. Car magnets, they work. Anyway, you want to make sure you're getting out and finding a way to meet people, whether it be charitable thing or a networking event or something at your church or whatever it is that makes you happy. Volunteer. I mean, volunteering is a super awesome way of doing something good to give back to your community and to meet people, right? So if you need ideas, we can sit down and brainstorm a little bit. Third area is going to be your geographic farm. And your geographic farm is critical. And, Melissa was here, what's today, Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay, she was here on Tuesday. They all run together. She was here on Tuesday and did a class. If you have not downloaded the Landwood app on your phone, make sure you get that downloaded. Get it together with Melissa Duran. She'll get you logged in, but you'll be able to, and it's super simple to use. You can go in, you can find your farm area, you can check for turnover rates. I found a turnover rate in La Quinta the other day at 17%.
Wow.
17% turnover rate. So that's what you want. The minimum turnover rate you're looking for is about 5%. That's just slow and steady. The higher the turnover rate, the more activity is in that development. So you want to, I said.
Where was that rate?
Huh?
Where was that rate?
I said, are you kidding? Everybody will be bombarding that one area. Yeah. But you know what I do? I sit in my living room or at my desk sometimes, and I pull up the app, and just for fun, because I'm sick that way, I am looking at areas and I'm looking at turnover rates. I know I need a life, don't I? But I'm looking at numbers. I'm seeing what's going on in some areas that you think are kind of, there's nothing going on there. Oh my gosh, you'd be surprised. So, those apps are killers. So look at your turnover rates. So if you find one with a good turnover rate, remember it's also an area where you have to feel comfortable. Do you like the product? Or can you sell that product? If you're selling Nike shoes and you hate Nike, you're probably not the right salesperson for the job. If you're somebody who says, I hate HOAs, I'm not paying HOAs, I think they're ridiculous, yet your farm has $1,000 a month HOAs, how are you going to sell it? You've got to think, and you've got to know that area, and am I comfortable? Do I feel confident? Do I love these homes? Because it's going to project. If you're excited about the product, your potential buyers are excited about the product, and your future sellers, they want somebody who's excited and that wants to sell their home. So there's some things to think about as you're looking at the areas. Open houses, I cannot wait to get back to open houses. But before I leave the marketing and advertising, you want to get those farms uploaded, get the neighborhood reports assigned, contact your sphere. Today is the best day. And if I were in your shoes, I would set a daily goal of whatever number you think, you want to hit. I would probably say, I'm going to contact 10 people a day. And in all reality, it sounds like a lot, but every day I take my calendar, it's open on my desk. And if you walk into my office, it's sitting on my desk right now. And I write down every person I call every day, whether it be an agent or whether it be somebody that I'm trying to recruit and come over to Berkshire, but I'm writing their names down every day. And the reason is that's how I track. How many people have I called? I've called 20 people. What were my results? What is going on? Have I helped agents build their DRC, their daily revenue commitment? What have I done to help you make money? How many agents have I called to come over to Berkshire? Out of those agents, how many have responded? So you're able to track it. And that's what you need to do as a business. Set your goal. I'm going to contact 10 people a day. And then you'll be able to start tracking your numbers too. And do not go to bed until you do those 10 calls. No, I can't, whatever. If you like certain things, make yourself wait for that before, like, I'm not going to get this cookie unless I call 10 people, right? Or I'm not going to be able to go to wherever I want to go until I make these 10 calls. Put some things on you so it actually makes you do it. And if you'd like, text me when you're done and say, hey, Gina, I just finished my 10 calls, right? Or never made 10 calls. I did 8 today. And that's it. You don't have to explain. You don't have to do anything. But what it does psychologically for you, it puts you in a business mindset. And knowing that you will have to be accountable to somebody, you're more inclined to do it. Because if you're not accountable to anybody, it's so much easier to say, oh, I'm going to watch the news. Oh, I'm hungry. I think I'm going to go grab a quick bite and then I'll make my phone calls. And then, oh, shoot, I'm out of bread. I got to go to the store. So off to the store you go. And you end up 4 or 5 hours later and you haven't made any calls and you're thinking, yeah, tomorrow's another day. And that's what happens when you don't have an accountability partner. So that's why it's so important. Okay, so now your phone is going to call or your phone's going to ring because you've marketed, you've advertised, you've set up your neighborhood report. You may have sent out a follow-up postcard. Maybe you have an AdWorks ad going that's stalking potential clients, not stalking, but following potential clients. So you are top of mind. You are the agent for the area. Your phone will ring. And I cannot tell you, at least 4 different agents have come to me over the last 30 days and they said, Gina, I have marketed, I have advertised, I've done all these things, but when I uploaded my CRM and I started neighborhood reports, I've now gotten 4 listings. I've gotten 3 listings. I've gotten 2 listings over the last 7 days. This stuff works, but you have to work it. You have to be out there. So the phone rings. This is Tom Selleck. I want you to come list my house. And when I fall off my chair and put myself back up, I'm going to schedule the appointment. The number one thing, because I know we plan that. Well, what am I going to do if my phone rings? You're going to schedule the appointment. That's step 1. And if you're not ready, it's going to be very uncomfortable. So my recommendation is get yourself ready. Now, call marketing. They have these beautiful listing presentation boxes. I paid $15 for each box, and they come generic with a listing presentation, marketing. It's got some stuff here that you can put. I would put that property profile that I'm ordering inside this box. I have my comps in this box, and now I go and I've got something very professional to give to my client, right? You can have them branded personally to you. Your listing presentations, SB just ordered, oh my gosh, 50 of them, I think. But they bound like almost a book cover on the listing presentation with her branding on it. It's stunning. I mean, they are absolutely beautiful. So contact marketing, say, I have 10 on my bookshelf usually always. A couple agents have taken a couple, bought a couple, but have them on your bookshelf, ready to go. If they're staring at you, you're more likely to get them out. If you don't have them, you're more likely to postpone or delay that listing presentation because you're not ready, right? So at least get a 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever you need to motivate you, get them ordered and get them on your shelf.
And the listing presentation, the box is 15 or the whole kit and caboodle is 15?
The whole kit and caboodle, unless you have it branded.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just have the generic ones and then I'll put my own stuff in. That's fine.
And I just call marketing and say I want this, like
Well,
you did for Gina.
yes, and there's order forms right there by the copier. See, it says order form. If you take that and put listing presentation box with contents, and then send that over to marketing at bhhscaproperties.com, and they'll get them over to you. So and that way you can have them ready to go and be prepared. So you get the call, you set the appointment. If you can set it for tomorrow, that's probably good because then that'll give you today to get everything put together and to send them your pre-listing packet. And I'm going to cover that in just a second. But as soon as you hang up with them, you're going to get on Landwood and you're going to order that property profile. Again, you don't know who these people are. You've just been marketing and farming. You need to know who are the legal owners. How is title held? What are the taxes? And are there any special assessments? Are there any hero pace liens? What is the status of this property? How is title held? Is it in a trust? Has somebody died? You know, you're just gonna learn so much about that. What did they pay for it? When did they buy it last? Is there a loan on it, or what did they pay cash? So all this stuff you get from that property profile. So that's the next thing you're gonna do, set the appointment and then order the profile.
Quick reminder, what's the hero pace lane again?
Okay, so the hero pace lane, and that's a good question, thank you. I don't even know how many years ago it was, several years ago. Some people came up with this idea and they went to the city, and I'm talking vendors like solar vendors, and it's energy efficient products. Hero stands for home energy something, but it's all energy efficient products, whether it be double pane windows, solar, updated AC system, energy efficient things to make your home run more smoothly, right? So and that's expensive. If you wanted to go buy solar and put it on your house, it could be, $40,000-$50,000, right? And a lot of people don't have that. So these companies went to the city and said, hey, what if we do this? What if we went door to door and, offered this, but it went on their property taxes twice a year instead of them having to pay every month or having to pay up front. And the city said, yeah, sure, we don't care about that. Go ahead. So these companies went door to door and said, oh my gosh, no money out of pocket. You're just going to pay an extra fee on your property taxes twice a year. Here's what it is. And these people get excited and they got into this hero program, had the double pane windows, put in their AC systems, had solar put on, and life is good until they tried to sell their house because the property tax liens are always in first position when you sell a house. So lenders now said, whoa, wait a minute. There's a tax lien on this property because that's what it is. It's a tax lien on the property. We can't lend on this house unless it's paid off before escrow closes. So if there's not enough equity to pay it off through escrow, which the sellers were not told, now the sellers either have to come to the table with it or it's got to be a cash buyer that's just going to assume it. So it created a nightmare. And there's class action lawsuits over it. It was a big deal. We're far enough along now where these hero programs have been out there for a while, so many of them have been paid down somewhat, so it's not that critical.
Right.
And a lot of the sellers have enough equity now in their home where they're saying, okay, I'll just pay it off at the close of escrow and we can move forward.
Right.
But when you see, and it would be, where it has the taxes and then the special assessments on the property profile, it will be in red, hero pace, and it'll show what they're paying on each assessment with their property taxes. Now I need to have a conversation at the listing appointment with the seller that says, hey, talk to me about this hero. What did you do? What did you have installed? What is the balance? Now, many times it's on the property profile attached like a deed that has it broken down and has the amortization schedule for it. So they know what every payment's going to be for however many years, and you can kind of see how much is there. So it's one of those things that it's not a deterrent, it's just, it has to be addressed. And I want you to be educated enough to know, that's what this is, and here's how we're going to handle it. Okay? So I also like our agents to give out a pre-listing package before you get to the appointment. And the reason is most agents will go to a listing presentation and they talk about, I'm a top agent, I'm at the best company, we're going to market and advertise your home and my fee 6%. And the next agent comes along and they say, yes, I'm the #1 agent in my office, I'm with the best company, we're going to market and advertise your home and my fee is 6%. And the third agent comes along and guess what they're saying?
Same thing.
Now you know why sellers say, will you do it for 5? Will you do it for 4? Because they see no difference in the agents. So I want you to be of the mindset of, how do I show value? How do I become different than the rest of the agents, right? Agents go to a listing appointment and talk about themselves continuously. And then they wonder why they didn't get the listing. So what I like to say is, hey, let's put this pre-listing package together, but I do it online. We've got everything in that pre-listing packet in our document center on the VAC. We have a beautiful, and I'll show you, I'll come back to this page. There it is. And I think I've emailed this out to you before, but I wanted it here again. And I'll email you this PDF as well with the recording. But this is an email I would send to a client after I scheduled the appointment for the presentation. And it says, you know, great speaking with you today. I look forward to meeting you on whatever date and time we scheduled the appointment. But I wanted to send some information about me and my company beforehand. Our time together should be focused on you and your property, right?
Mhm.
So now you're going to send the listing presentation right here. You're going to send, here's our digital platform. Here's our global presence information and a word from Warren Buffett. I love that video because it really speaks volumes of how global we are. And everybody loves Warren. I've never met a person who had anything negative to say about him. So let me go forward here. There we go. That's where I am. So what we're doing is we're putting together, hi Mark, this pre-listing packet, and we're going to email that over to them. Or if they don't have email and they live local, you're going to put it together in your box and you're going to take it over. And what I would say is this, I'm going to pop by. I want to drop off some information about me and my company because our time together should be focused on you and your property. Okay. No, I can't come in. I've got another appointment. I'm just going to pop by and drop it off. Don't stay. Don't go inside the house. That is not the time for this. You're not ready for that yet. Just drop off the information and leave. Now, the question is, are they going to look at it? Some will, some won't. If it's important to them, they're going to go through and read every page. Or if they're, you know, that personality type, they're going to read every page. Other people are not even going to open it or even click on any of these. That's okay too. They have the information if they need it. But when you get to that listing appointment, I want you to be so focused on them and their needs and what is important to them that the rest of it just doesn't matter, right? So what are you going to put? You'll put, you know, a seller's guide. You'll have your listing presentation. I want to make sure you have a marketing proposal. All these are in the document center of the VAC, the marketing to a global community, and your personal biography. You know, every one of you come to this business with some pretty incredible skills. Even if you've not been in real estate a long time, you bring past experience with you. And if you've had a business in the past that you dealt with people, pull that in, make your bio. You know, I ran a business or I worked with a company that dealt with thousands of people. I understand the intricacies that are needed to get a transaction from open to close. And give them a reason. What makes you different? Why would they hire Sue over Gina? You know, we need to put what our hobbies are. In you know, my spare time, here's what I love to do. Why? Because you're trying to find a common ground to connect with them. If they're golfers and you're a golfer, it gives you something to build on that, right? We all need that frame of reference. So add something. If you've gotten any certificates or designations, put that. That's something to be proud of. That's a big deal. Your CAR and NAR memberships, your community involvement. You'll include the AdWords link. You'll include the buy side. And if it's a high-end property, you'll include the Prestige magazine because that goes out for all our high-end listings. So that's just a list of that. So now you're going to get, oops, did I accidentally click on that? I think I did. Just kidding. Go back. Not there. Here I am. Click over here. There we go. And then finally, you're going to need to know your comps. You need to know what the property is going to list for. It's been a little crazy lately because prices have been escalating so rapidly that we're not getting them closed fast enough so that they appraise. So the appraisers have the lower numbers. They don't have the higher numbers yet, although that's kind of, some of them are starting to close. But you need to know what they can get. That's where every day, in addition to your 10 phone calls a day that's going to go on your daily activity list, I want you to go onto the MLS and check your new listings, new escrows, and new closings every single day. It doesn't take you long, but just kind of go in there and eyeball, check. You're going to get an idea of what things are selling for and where, right? Click on the pictures, see what they can get. Truth of the matter is, if I have $500,000 in my pocket and I call you and I say, I'm ready to buy a house and I want to spend up to $500,000. Can you help me? Right? You might like an area and you might show them a couple homes or whatever, but don't just limit it, because if I have 500,000, I want to know, what can I get for my 500,000? Unless I specifically said, this is the development I want to live in and this is what I want, then I would stick to those parameters. I would ask more questions, about it, but definitely, but you need to be knowledgeable. Go to the market watches, read the stats that you get from CDAR. If you're not sure, because some people are just not stat people. They don't even know how to explain them. If you're not sure what to say, sit down with me and because you know what, for a long time, I wasn't a stat person. And it was hard for me I'm like, what the heck does this mean? And what does this mean? Until I sat down and really started digesting it with other people. Now it's like, oh, I totally get it. I totally get it. And so if you're not sure, let me know and we'll talk about it so that when you're in front of a client, you feel comfortable and you can talk about what the heck's going on. But you want to know your comps, right? You want to know when the client says, well, okay, so you say my house is in the $500,000 range. I think it's in the $600,000 range. Yeah, I know, I'd love to. But you're going to hear that. You're going to hear that. You have to feel confident of what you're going to say, right? And you might come back right now with, well, you know what? This is the craziest market I've ever seen. All I can tell you is things have not closed at that price at this point. Here's what has closed. And an appraiser can only, check what is closed. Now, if we get multiple offers, we may be able to include those, but the bottom line is they're looking as to what closed. So there may be an appraisal issue if we go that high. And there's other things that we can say and do. And, if they're adamant, no, this is where I want to be, there's things that you need to look at. Do you want to take an overpriced listing? Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is heck yeah, because I can't get a price reduction on someone else's listing, right? So, but before I would take it, I'm gonna consider different things. Number one, I'm gonna consider where is the house? Is it in an area where people are gonna see my sign? Is it gonna give me other sign calls because of it? And can I close other business because of this listing? Is my client open? If we have no offers in 21 days, or 14 days, or whatever you choose to do, if we receive no offers in that time period, are you, Mr. Seller, willing to adjust the price? If the answer is, well, if we're not getting anything, I don't want it to just sit here, then no problem. Then I might write that into the contract. If no offers are received after 21 days, price to be adjusted to X dollars. So it gives you, you're setting a game plan. We want to get that seller the highest price. Of course we do. But we also have to do it intelligently and explain the market. You can tell them right now, because we've already had this discussion about the listings, the 15,000 listings, and how those other 2,000 are going to be a surplus. And now one other thing I didn't tell you that they talked about at Buyers Watch or Market Watch was buyer fatigue that we're starting to see now. And I don't know if any of you have started to see that, but look out because it's happening. Buyers are tired of not getting their offers accepted. Buyers are tired of paying over market for their home, right? They're getting burnt out. So now you have some buyers that are saying, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to wait until the fall and I'm going to just back up here. So you have buyers that are starting to say, I'm tired. You've got more listings going on the market. You're going to have a listing surplus. What do you think is going to happen? Well, they're not going to crash.
No.
But they're going to level off.
Yeah.
They're going to level off and homes are going to be on the market longer and you're not going to see as many multiple offers, right? You're going to see that delay and buyers are going to know what's going on and realtors are going to know what's going on and sellers are going to be in denial for a while and they're going to beat up on you for a little bit saying, what the heck? How come everybody else got $1,000 or $100,000 over market and I can't even get my asking price, right? You've got to understand the market and what's going on. So when they want to price it high now, you can say, it's your house, and we can price it wherever you feel fit. But I want to point out what you need to be aware of. Here's what's going on in the market. And you can talk to them about the homes, the surplus, the buyer fatigue, and what that means. If your home doesn't sell in the next couple months, You're gonna be on the market with a lot more inventory, so you're gonna have more competition. It's supply and demand. If you're going to attract a buyer, let's be strong now and get it sold before the flux of homes hits the market, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you know these things, you understand these things, you're attending these seminars, you can have these conversations with sellers saying, here's what I'm seeing. We don't have a crystal ball, but with everything we know, this is what we anticipate is going to be happening. And so when it happens, they're not going to look at you and say, well, why didn't you tell me about this? They're going to say, okay, you said this was going to happen, didn't you? And they will. So that's why that part is so important, to know your numbers, know what's going on in the market, and then be ready to have that conversation with your clients. When you get to the appointment on the day of the listing presentation, please arrive on time. If your appointment's at 2 o'clock, do not go sliding into third at 1:59 p.m. Because you're going to be So I would say get there 10 minutes early, not to get the door 10 minutes early, but get in front of the house. Ladies, be dressed, have your makeup on, lipstick on, be ready to go. Men, have your shaving done before you leave the house. Because the truth is most sellers are watching out for you. They're looking out the window to, did they pass? Did they find my home? It's interesting to see what they think about. So they're going to watch you, and they're going to literally and think that they're watching you when you're pulling up. I never park right in front of the house. I always park across the street. Why? Because I don't want to block the view. When I get out of the car, the first thing I do, because I know the sellers are watching me in my mind, right? I take out my legal pad. I've got my pen. I'm out of the car, and I'm looking at the property, and I'm making notes. In my head, I'm taking this listing, so I need to write some notes about it for my marketing remarks, right? Landscaping, how's the paint, how's the roof, I'm just kind of looking at a few things. I might get my phone and just take some pictures up and down the street. So when I come back, I'm thinking, God, what did it have? What did it have? Now I've got my pictures right? So I'm taking my time. I'm walking up to the house and looking at the planting and the landscaping. I'm looking at the eaves. I'm looking at my product that I'm going to be selling so that I can understand it more. And when I hit that front door and they answer the door, I'm going to find something that I can genuinely compliment them on. I'm not going to blow smoke. I'm not going to give any lies. I'm not going to tell on a fixer, oh, what a great place, because they're going to look at me like, really, are you kidding me? But I might say, wow, this area is the coolest area. Man, what a gem this could be, right? Whatever, but it's got to be genuine and it's got to be heartfelt, because they can see through you in a heartbeat if you're not being sincere. Now, look at that versus the agent who flies in at the last minute and runs to the door pounding on it. Their thought is, I just spent the last 7 days pulling weeds and planting these flowers, and he didn't even look at those, right? So understand there's a huge psychology behind this as well. Dress for success, yes.
I was going to just comment, it's a really great idea that Mark Stark actually said. His mentor told them to show up 2 hours early and go walk around the neighborhood, learn the streets. It's surprising, that people, you start talking about this home and that home, and you find out that you know more about the neighborhood than they do.
Yes, and yes.
Shows pre-planning.
Exactly. That is excellent advice. You do need to know that neighborhood, and if you're unfamiliar with it, drive it ahead of time and get familiar with it. Know if there's a community pool. Don't say, is there a community pool here? Because they're going to say, don't you know? Have you never been in my neighborhood?
Yeah.
And you're interviewing to sell my house? So you want to get as much as you can. Another thing I always do, if it's in like a country club area, if I don't have the information already, I'm reaching out to the membership director of that club, and I'm saying, hey, can you email me, or can I stop by and meet you and pick up the information packet on becoming a member for this club? They'll give you the price sheet, they'll give you the different levels, they'll give you all a beautiful packet of information that you can have. So now when you have that listing and somebody says, is this a private course? What are the fees? You're not, oh, that's a good question, let me find out. No, you've already got it. It's right here. You're going to say, oh, absolutely. I've got a whole packet of information. This is my last packet. Can I email some to you? Now you got their email address. Into the CRM they go, into the drip system they go, right? These are people that you're contacting. You're going to make those adjustments. You're going to put them in the system, and they're going to be hooked to you because of what you've done. So, dress for success, definitely. Don't take that lightly. I can't tell you the number of clients who have literally either come to this office to talk to me or have called me on the phone and say, you know, this agent showed up in shorts or in this or in that. You know, sometimes it's appropriate. Like if you're going to a ranch property, you're not going to dress up in heels and, you know, nice clothes. You're going to probably have some jeans and sneakers or something, right? Because you're going to get all dirty. But if you're in a nice country club development that's nice, you want to dress for success. So, you know, I always tell agents when they say, well, this is, you know, everybody's on vacation here. My answer is, they are. You're not. You're working. You're on a listing presentation. So look good. Look good. You want to make sure like you're showing what's different. If you've not read it, I really, I think this is a great book. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy by W. Chen Kim and Renee Mauborgne. It's about separating yourself from the pack. And the Blue Ocean Strategy, if you've not heard of it before, well, think about this. When you're swimming with the sharks, you're in the red, bloodied waters of the sharks eating each other, right? You want to, and then you're just like everybody else. You're fighting for the business. You want to remove yourself from the red ocean into the cool blue waters where nobody else is. And that's the whole principle of this book of how to do it and how to separate yourself and make yourself different. So you want to render the competition irrelevant, and this is how you do it. Okay. So the key factors. Your goal is not to give a great presentation. Your goal is to sign with a listing agreement. Some seasoned agents I talked to say, I don't remember the last presentation I did. They called me to say, come list my house. I went to their house and we signed the paperwork. And that's a cool thing. That, imagine your dollar per hour worth just went up. You're not spending hours there, right? So think about that. That's the reason you're giving this stuff ahead of time so they know about you and your company. So by the time you hit that front door, you're just asking some direct questions to help you understand what's going on. And you're going to ask the right questions. How does it feel to be selling your house? How does it feel to be selling your house? You don't know where these people are coming from. It could have been the couple that raised their family in that home, watched their grandkids, and now they're going to assisted living. And it's a totally emotional thing for them to sell this because all their memories are there, right? Right. Versus, yeah, I bought this home a year ago. I hate this place. I got it. I want to sell it. I hate this place. Totally different motivations, right? Totally different sets of emotions. You need to be mindful of it so you know how to move forward with this particular client. Why are you selling it? You know, try to get some information. What effect will it have on you or your family? People don't realize selling a home is not an easy thing to do as the seller, right? There's a lot of things to think about. It's high emotion. Whether you love the house or hate the house, you're moving. There's a lot of packing involved, planning involved, scheduling utilities. What do I do? What if it falls out of escrow and I've already done all this? My gosh, I had one client, of course, she is total type A, high achiever. She was funny, still is, funny lady, about this tall, and worked for the police department. Mean as a snake, I gotta tell you, she was hysterical. But we listed her house, we sold her house, it was completely packed, and she was ready to go like the first week. That house was packed, it was always immaculate, painted in, and she was just like that way. A week before closing, buyer walks. So I had a list of people, and she goes, well, do I need to unpack? I said, no, don't do anything. Let me just get it resold, right? So I'm making my phone calls that evening. Another buyer says, yeah, if it's available again, I want to move forward. So I get back on the phone with my client, and she says, yeah, I repacked the whole house already. You did what? She goes, no, don't worry. If these 5 people go through, I'll pack it up again. And I'm thinking, are you crazy? You know, that was her. So she's just very high strung. But you have to know what your clients how they are, how they operate, so you know how to talk to them, right? And what their needs are. What effect will it have on your family? I had one, it was a very sad scenario. I said, how does it feel to be selling your house? And his answer was a bad word, started with an SH. And I looked at him and I said, really? Well, why is that? He says, because I don't want to sell. My kids told me we have to. They want us to move closer to them. We raised our family in this house. We don't want to sell this house. But our kids don't think that we're, we can take care of ourselves for much longer. So that led a whole different conversation, right? And that was a whole different scenario than just coming in to list and sell a property. He wanted to price it at $100,000 more, and he wasn't going to budge, and he was not motivated, right? Are you up for that? Because there's no price reductions on this one. Daddy doesn't want to sell. So there, you have to take all this into consideration. When would you like to move into your new location? That kind of gives you an idea. Now, if you run a trends report on the MLS, you go to Trend Graphics and you run the report for that development, it's going to show what market value price per square foot is, what the average sales price is, and it's going to show average day on market. So when I'm explaining this form to the potential seller, I'm saying at $200 a square foot, you can expect this home to be on the market for 30 days, whatever it might be, right? If they want to price it now at $300 a square foot, what's that going to do to the days on market? It's going to increase it, right? So when I ask this question, and all these questions, I've got my legal pad, and on second page, I've written all these questions down. So I'm going back and forth, and I'm asking my questions, and I'm writing their answers as I'm doing a tour of the house. I'm just talking to them as I'm walking the house, having them tell me what their favorite things are. Now he tells me I need to move into my next location by June 30th, because I start a new job on July 1st. Okay, I'm writing that down. So now I know when I get to price, and he says I wanted it $300 a square foot, and I'm saying $200 a square foot. Now I know. Okay, well, let's look at this. You told me you wanted to be in your new location by this date. Let's look at the numbers. It'll be on the market at $200 a square foot for 30 days, right? On average. Are you following me? So you can literally take these, and the reason these questions are all geared to give you information that you need, so when it comes to pricing, you can reflect back and say, okay, here's what you need. So is this all making sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I like the question, what are you looking for in a great agent? Stop talking, let them answer, right? I want somebody who's going to communicate. Write it down. I want somebody who, write it down. So now when they say, well, what are you going to do for me? I'm going to communicate. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it, right? You're coming back because you know what your job description is at that point. This is a good question. While working with a real estate agent previously, in which area were you most disappointed? That's a really good question, because everybody you know has dealt with a realtor. And some have had really good experiences, and some have had horrible experiences. I can't tell you the number of agents I've hired because their realtor was so bad they thought, my God, if this person could do this, I can do it too. And that's why they got into the business. So when you ask this question, again, stop talking after you've asked it and let them tell you, oh my gosh, I worked with this one agent, and this agent would never return my phone calls. Or this agent would, whatever it is, they're going to say this is what was bothering them. Two things are happening. One, you know what their pet peeve is. But number two, you're allowing them to get that off their chest. Because sometimes they dealt with somebody that was just horrible. If we go to a store and we deal with one of the salespeople that are just rude as heck to us, right? How likely are we to want to go back to that store? And if we do go back to that store, our guard's up already because we think, oh, that last experience was horrible. Well, that's how it is in this business. If they had a bad experience with the real estate agent, and now you go in there, you're a realtor, you must be just like that person, right? So we're asking that question. It's diffusing a situation. It's letting them get it off their chest and say, this is what happened to me. And now you can address it and say, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Let me tell you what you can expect from me, right? Now you've cleared that slate and you've opened the door. This question here, if I can fulfill those areas or needs, will you feel comfortable working with me? You will not hurt my feelings by saying no. And I always smile at that point. You're not going to hurt my feelings by saying no. When you give somebody the permission to say no to you, psychologically, they always say yes. It's how people are. I don't know why, but it's how people are. But when you ask that question, if I could fulfill these needs, will you feel comfortable working with me? If they say yes, great, let's get the paperwork started and move on. You don't even have to open your listing presentation. They just told you they want to work with you. If they say, well, maybe I have a couple of questions, wonderful. I love questions. Let's go to the table and we'll talk about it. Okay. And now you sit down and you go to the taking the temperature. And I love the taking the temperature. If you have a different closing that's working for you, do not change it. You're going to take things that I say and you're going to make them your own. But you're not going to be Gina, you're going to be you. You might say, and I always say, when you listen to the different coaches, you might have Rick Berube, you might have Tom Ferry, you might have Mike Ferry, you might have Brian Buffini, whoever it is, it's a buffet. And you're going to take a bit and piece from each one and you're going to make it your own so that when you walk in there, you're going to feel comfortable being yourself. Okay. So you need to understand their pain. It's all about the seller. The deeper the connection you can make with that seller, the greater advantage you have over the competition. If once they feel like, if you get them to talk and to confide in you, that's a wonderful thing. That means they trust you. You don't break that trust, but the more you establish that relationship, the more solid you're going to be about getting that listing. But taking the temperature, handling the objections, I like, okay, so on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 you're ready to list right now. Where are we? Fair question, right? 10 you're ready to list. Well, I'm about an 8. Super. What do you need to hear to be a 10? That's how I get over it. It's really easy for me, other than, you ready to sign? That doesn't work for me. If something else works better for you, fine. This is what works for me. So, well, I need to hear more about your commissions. Wonderful. I'm glad you brought that up. And I am glad they brought that up. I want to explain how we get paid. I want to explain, I use my pie. I draw a big circle on a piece of paper and I say, here's the pie. And say a $300,000 house, for example, 6% is, they think they're going to put a sign in the yard and you're going to get $18,000 in their mind. So they're appalled and they think that's too much money. But then what I do is I draw a line right through the center of that. And I say, immediately, we're going to give half of it to the broker who brings the buyer. Right? So instead of the 18,000, it's now 9,000 and 9,000. But because we work for a brokerage, we're not our sole broker. Even if we are a broker, we're a broker associate under our company. We don't get to keep 100% of it. We split it with our broker. And so I'll draw, so now it looks like a cross right in the middle of the circle, a line right down the middle. Because you're investing too. Whatever your split is, it doesn't matter. You're still investing, you're still marketing, you're still out of pocket. So now instead of 9,000, it's 4,500, right? Instead of 18,000, we're already down to 4,500. And they're seeing this visually. And I'll say, and as you can see, at this price, it's going to take 30 days to sell. Your price, it could potentially take 60 days to sell, or maybe a little bit more. So 4,500 divided by 60 days, you're looking at what, $2,250 a month. Mr. Seller, now you've given them the marketing proposal, right? You showed them what you're going to do, what your activities are to sell their house. Here's what I'm doing to sell your house. Mr. Seller, you're a businessman. Do you think $2,000 a month is too much to work for you 30 days out of the month? Stop talking. They're going to look at you and say, how do you live on that? And they have said that to me. And that's where I smile and say, I'm really glad you asked me that question. It's not about this transaction. I don't look at the money for any particular transaction. What my hope is I do such a great job for you that you're going to refer me to all your families and friends in the future. And that's where I'll make my money. And I throw it right out there. And now they know, number one, Gina wants referrals, right? So in the future, I put that bug in their head. But number two, I just told them I'm not in it for this transaction. I want to do such a good job. So they know my commitment extends beyond this particular transaction. So that's what I use. And so okay, got it, understand. On a scale from 1 to 10 now, where are we? Well, I'm a 9. Okay, what can we get? What do we need to hear to be a 10? Well, let's talk about pricing. Great, let's talk about pricing. And now you've got your comps, you've got your stuff. You're going to go through all the strategies, and it may be I want to price it here and reduce, or no, I just really want to do it. Again, remember, we've got 3 services available to our clients. For those who need a fire sale, I need a cut and run, you're going to talk to them about the Zappy program. If it's a standard, you'll just do your normal standard presentation. If it's somebody that wants top dollar for their home, but maybe their home's not ready, we're going to talk to them about our Apex Concierge program and show them how they potentially, with the nominal investment at close of escrow, they can really double their return on their investment, right? So we're going to talk to them about some of these programs that can help them that no other company is going to do for them. So this is your chance to demonstrate your knowledge of the market, pricing the home, what you can do for them, and all of the expectations. Obviously, don't be the first one to blurt out the price. I can promise you, a seller already knows where they want to price that house. So if they look at you and say, George, what do you think this house should be priced? And you know, you've got an amount. I can sell it at this price. The answer is, well, Mr. Seller,
What do you think?
where do you see it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I know where I see it. I just want to know where you see it. Well, let's look at that. Pull out your comps. Here's what's going on in the market. Don't be the one to tell them this is where it should be priced, because if they don't like it, you just lost, right? I can give you a range of what has sold, but ultimately, Mr. Seller, it's your house. It's not mine. So you need to tell me, where do you see? If somebody calls you on the phone, and this is a lesson, you know, I learned a long time ago, but it's an important lesson. So sometimes, you know, somebody will call the office, and if you're here, you might get routed the phone. Sometimes it's just going to be your phone because of your marketing and whatever. But let's say you get a phone call and they say, hey, Jose, I'm thinking about listing my house. I live in this neighborhood. It's 2,000 square feet. It's, you know, got a swimming pool. And what do you think it's worth? Now, you work that farm. You know that area, right? What are you going to say? You're not going to say the price.
No.
The answer is always set the appointment.
Oh.
Set the appointment. And you're going to say, you know what? They range in that area development from this price to this price. You know, the most recent sale was at this price. It closed on such and such a date. But I'll need to get to see your house before I can give you a more appropriate range, right?
Mhm.
And if they are, you say, look, I need to see the property before I can put a value on it. Let me put it to you like this. If you were buying a car and you went on Auto Trader, right? And you're flipping through and you see this car that you think, wow, that's a really cool car. But there was no price on it or whatever. Would you, and somebody said, well, what do you want to, what are you going to pay for my car? Right? This is what I want, but what do you want? What are you going to pay for my car? Your answer is, I have to see it, right? They might have taken a picture of the good side. You want to walk around to the other side to find out where all the dings and batches are on the car, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same scenario with a house. You need to get into it. You don't know what condition that house is in. If it's in tip-top condition, it might be worth here. But what if? You know, you don't know if the stains on the carpet, the walls. Oh, there was a leak that didn't get fixed. Oh, I'm sorry, you're missing half of your roof tiles. I mean, you know, it could be issues. So you don't ever throw that out there, because if they don't like the number, they've hung up before they've given you anything,
Right.
and you just lost that potential conversation. Okay, you could talk about what the buyer's going to do, sending out an appraisal. Use the seller's net sheet. Landwood Title has a great resource for seller net sheets and buyer estimated cost sheets that you throw in a couple numbers and it automatically calculates for you. And that's good so they can see what their bottom line will approximately be. You'll give them the marketing plan. You're going to give them the game plan of what you're going to do and how their home's going to be marketed. Definitely talk about the strength of Berkshire Hathaway. I would really pull in the fact that we are global. If you've not logged into the Resource Center and joined some of the chatter groups, I strongly encourage you to do that now. Go to the Resource Center, click on chatter, and you'll see a multitude of groups. There's resort properties, there's different countries, Dubai, Mexico, different areas where you can join these groups. There's luxury properties. Just go in and join them because that gives you a network. For example, resort properties. We're in a resort destination, right? So if you get a listing, you could market it right on there. But you're also marketing yourself because what if that person in Tennessee has somebody that wants to move out to the desert area here, and now they say, oh, I know this agent in the Berkshire Hathaway, and it would be another Berkshire because it's our network of agents. But because they've seen what you've done on that chatter, now they know, I know this person, or at least they feel like they do. Don't you feel like you know some of the people on social media who you've never met because of what they've posted? And that's what it's about. It's about connecting, networking with other agents, and potentially getting these referrals. So when you get this listing, you're going to say, hey, as soon as I get back to my office, I'm going to market this out to my whole company and network, which extends globally. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. You'll introduce our team, you know, and it's not necessarily an agent team, but you have a team of people around you, starting with Berkshire, our agents, our escrow company, our title company, our lender. These are all folks that are on our team to help ensure that successful closing. And then I get into our services because every agent is going to ask for their own escrow and title, right? And Mark Stark owns Legendary Escrow, Landwood Title. Obviously, he would like you to request them because it means money for the company. And when we get money for the company, that means more stuff for the agents. The VAC comes from money that he earned from the company, and he invests it right back into you, the agent. When you use the other broker's escrow and title, you are putting money in your competitor's pocket, number one. But number two, and what's most important, and you'll hear anytime there's a challenge on the transaction, my first question is who's escrow and title? And the reason I ask that is not to beat you up, it's do I have control? I've got cell phone numbers for our escrow and title people. If things are hitting the fan, I can pick up my phone and within minutes, I can have answers for you. But I don't have that with our competitors' companies. We're just gonna have to wait till normal business hours. Or they haven't returned our call yet, you know, I'm not sure. So when I talk to the sellers at the listing appointment, I'm going to, of course, go over the affiliated business with them, but I'm gonna say, you know, we have an interest in these companies and these are our teammates. And I would, you know, recommend with your permission that we use them when we get an offer. And I explain why. I explain, you know, they're great, they're my team. I know if there's an issue, I know what to do and how to move forward. And I want to maintain control of this transaction, and we do that through services. And so if you sell it properly at the listing appointment, you're going to get a full price offer in for your property. And I promise you, your clients will look at you and say, we need to counter for escrow and title. And they do that all the time with them, all the time, because you set it up at the time of the listing. Understand, that's an important piece. So now you have escrow and title, makes the company strong, gives you control of that, of the whole transaction. You'll be able, it's just so much smoother that way. So obviously it's up to the client, but it's also how it's being sold to the client. I look at it, I know a lot of agents say, well, I have friends at this other company. You know what, I have friends at other brokerages too. It doesn't mean I refer leads that come into them, right? I'm going to refer it to my agents, to you guys. You're my team, you're my company. So it's the same. I love it. I love my other agents at other companies. It doesn't mean I don't. It just means I want us to be healthy. I want us to make the money. I don't want to put it in our competitor's pocket. I'm going to take them out to dinner. I'm still going to be friends with them, but I'm not going to shuffle the business there.
Isn't there another point about using our services when it comes to how reliable and the insurance factor, like in putting your money in an escrow that you're not familiar with? Some of them go
Well-
belly up and run off with your money.
The important feature is that they're licensed with the Department of Business Oversight, escrow, that it's not just a broker owned. Berkshire owns Legendary Escrow, but it's licensed with the Department of Business Oversight. It's not what's considered a broker owned escrow. For example, I'm a broker. If I chose to, I can leave today, set up my office and say, I'm now my own broker. Oh, and I'm going to be my own escrow company. I am now a broker owned escrow. And I set up my books and I'm doing real estate and I'm doing my escrow. But it's under just me and my license. That's a broker owned escrow. And sometimes, and I've seen 3 in 17 years, not a lot, but 3 when it happens and it happens to your client, you don't forget it. And on this one particular occasion, we had a buyer that wired their 300,000 remaining funds into escrow on one day, and the next day, that escrow company that was a broker-owned company was no longer there. And of course, the buyer's like, "Where's my money?"
Sure.
You talk about emotions. You talk about that heart rate pounding, and you're thinking, "What the heck is going on?" And of course, you've got the lawyers, you've got the managers, you've got everybody around going, "What can we do?" Well, nothing. The feds are on it. We don't know when they'll track them down or find money, and it can be an issue. So if I have a buyer, I talk about services with my buyer, and I say, here's what I'd like to do. In a market like this, it's hugely competitive, multiple offers. As long, that's a whole nother topic, and you don't want to have a deal break over escrow and title. But just make sure, if it's your buyer, that their money is going to be with a company that's at least registered with the Department of Business Oversight. It used to be the Department of Corporations, because they're held to a higher standard. There's audits, there's things that are in place that they're less likely to have any issues than somebody who says, "Wow, I just found out I've got $100 million in my escrow account. Bye. I'm wiring it out to, God knows what country and sipping umbrella drinks for the rest of my life, at least until I go to jail, right?"
Right.
So anyway, that's what you're referring to. So just make sure, if you're using another company, maybe you represent the buyer, you're using another company, then just look and see. And if they're not licensed with the Department of Business Oversight, I had that conversation with the other agent. I had that conversation with the buyer and say, "What do you want to do? Here's what the risks are by putting your money in with an escrow company that's not." So that's that conversation.
Is there any kind of contract or anything that we can add to it so we're not liable if they?
No. I mean, we're not liable. We're not the ones closing our doors. But we do want to have a conversation with the buyer. If it's not, let's just say it's a mom and pop escrow company, and the buyer's like, "I don't care, I want it." Have the conversation, document your conversation log. I had this conversation with the buyer. They were fine with it and want to move forward. Okay, so now if anything ever happened, God forbid, now you've got your conversation log to look back on and say, "Yeah, on this date, at this time, Mr. Attorney, I did have this conversation with the buyer," and you have it documented.
How
Okay?
do you know if they're registered with the oversight?
You can look that, well, initially I look them up. I'll go to the Department of Business Oversight or Department of Corporations. Normally I'll just Google the escrow company, and if they're incorporated, then they're licensed with the Department of Business Oversight. Okay? All right. Other objections, I have a friend in the business. I'm trying to wrap this up quickly because we've gone longer than I anticipated. Holy cow. I'm sorry, you guys. I can end it right now, or we can finish. Other objections. Sellers have a friend in the business. I might be listening with my friend. You're going to hear that one day. And, I respect that. That's like having friends in other companies and other businesses. Of course, we all do. But when it comes to the most, one of the most expensive assets that, people are buying and selling, you want to make sure it's with the person that has been in the business, that does it full time, that's in the area. So look, where's your friend? Well, they're in LA, right? Do they know the market here? So ask some questions. And just one of the things that I've always said, and it does help, is I will look at the sellers as they're saying, all these little objections. I'll say, I'm here to interview for the job of selling your home. And I have prepared a marketing proposal and a strategy to do that. So I'm going to ask you a favor. And I've already asked them, how many agents will you be interviewing? Have you already interviewed? Do you have any interviews? Because they're interviewing other people, right? So I had that conversation. So I'm going to say, if I know that they still have agents that they're interviewing, or they've got a friend in the business, or whatever the scenario might be, here's my thing. Mr. Seller, will you do me a favor? I'm here interviewing for the job of selling your home, and I've put what I'm going to do in writing at my fee. Do me a favor, put my stuff away. So when they come in and they talk to you about selling your house, make them earn the right to represent you. See what they're going to do for the price and compare apples to apples. Because many times they'll come in and say, oh yeah, I'll do what Gina's going to do and I'll do it for 5%. But they put nothing in writing. So how do you know what they're going to do? Right? So, and they'll always say, okay. Or they'll put it away. On one particular case, and 99% of my listing presentations are ended with just that, if I know that they're still interviewing. And I had one couple, and this was a guy who swore to me he was never going to list his house with me because he was a tennis pro, and his doubles buddy, his wife was in the business. And this was $1 million house. And he said, I always said I was going to list with her if I'd list. So I stayed on it and got the appointment. And once I got the appointment, we got in the door. And the whole time, they're like this, arms crossed, and I'm not listing with you. And I just said, look, all I want you to do is compare apples to apples, because this is a very, it's a large investment, and you want to make sure you're getting your best bang for the buck. And so I did my thing that I just showed you. I ended my do me a favor. I'm here to earn your, listing, make them earn the listing, hide my stuff and don't share it. And I promise you, these people looked at me, they're looking at each other and said, should we show her? And they said, the wife said, yeah. Went to his fax machine. He pulled out the thing because he told her, send me what you're going to do. And she sent him a 1-sentence fax that said, yeah, I think your home is worth this. Oh. Let me tell you something. Remember, in sales, the first person to speak loses. I stopped talking and just sat there. And that was the pregnant pause that felt like it lasted 20 minutes. And I'm sure it was only a few seconds, but it was like, sweat. But I'm sitting there just waiting. And they're looking at each other and looking at each other. And he looked at me and said, do you have your paperwork? I said, yes, sir. He says, let's sign it. And this was a guy who was adamant he was not going to do it. But when you let them know what they should do your homework. This is an important thing. Yes, you have friends. Yes, you have relatives. Yes, but compare apples to apples. See what you're getting for your buck, and then make an educated decision. You'll be surprised how that works. Keep taking the temperature and ready until they're ready, and just have reasons to take the listing today. Making the next advertising cutoff, getting on Caravan. Of course, open house is not yet, but you can do an appointment only one still. Be natural. They're going to fall in love with you because of you, right? So don't try to be anybody else. You bring a unique set of qualities to the table. So just be you. Be focused and direct yourself toward the goal of successfully marketing their home and achieving their objection. Ask for the business. I think a lot of times agents just don't know how to close. So it's okay to ask. They expect you to, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, you ready to list? Are we ready to go? I want you to list with me. I'm the best one. Come on, sign the paper. And most important, do not overpromise what you cannot deliver. I've heard so many agents, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I promise you, I can guarantee you I'll sell this thing in a week. Oh my gosh, please don't ever do that. No promises. No promises, no guarantees, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So here's what you're gonna say. Here's what my plan of action is, and here's what I promise that I'm going to do. You can do that, but please don't overpromise. If you're not gonna advertise in a magazine, do not put that in your marketing proposal.
Mhm,
You know, if you're not going to do weekly open houses, do not advertise that you are.
mhm.
Say what you mean what you say, only promise what you are going to deliver. I'd rather you under promise and over deliver than the opposite. And then of course, after the listing appointment, always send a thank you. Some people might say, remember, I guess back, and I'm probably aging myself here. I remember a day when you'd be invited over to somebody's house, and I imagine we still do this, but we can't go to anybody's house lately. But when you go to somebody's house, you bring a gift, right? Bottle of wine, maybe some flowers, a pie, right? You're going to their home for a listing appointment. What's wrong with bringing some flowers, something to say thank you for having me in your home, right? That believe me, it sounds cheesy, but it works. The little thank you card at the end, it works. I literally took listings because I was the only one that sent them a thank you card afterwards. How crazy is that? Not that I did this stellar job. You sent me a thank you card. I could have done that 10 hours ago. Jeez. But in any event, and then add whoever you talk to goes right into your VAC. Let's get them in, get them attached to you, get them into that drip system, because that's going to be more business for you. Make sure in your car you have the for sale sign in a super box. Be ready to go. I'm like the Girl Scout, that, be prepared. Better to have and not need than need and not have, right? So get your stuff in your trunk and ready to go. Have your listing paperwork ready. Have your staging guide ready. There's a great one on the VAC after they sign the listing paperwork. Do not give them these ideas before you got the listing, because they will go get it listed cheaper somewhere else and use all of your stuff. So all this goes there. And I think that's all I have.
Yay.
Is that helpful? Yeah. Good. Let me stop sharing my screen. I wonder if anybody's still there. We got Elena and Katie. Hi, Elena and Katie. Thank you for hanging in there. Okay.
It was great. Thank you.
Like the actual one, but it's really,
Oh, I can email that to you.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I can email that to you.
Just a couple pages that are really good.
Awesome. Okay, let me stop recording here. And want to stop.